He had no choice.
Yeah. I'm going to make an announcement, by the way. Some time ago, I did a show, and I'm going to make a correction. I said that Jean Bertrand Aristide was assassinated, but he was
No,
not.
he was not. I saw it. I saw it. Yes.
He was abducted and died,
I
and
was
that was.
there. I was there when you said it. That was in the Zoom. I heard it. Yeah.
But I think he corrected me though. But he was
Yeah, no,
abducted.
no. He's
But
alive until now.
yes, and
Yeah. But those
but
guys, the problem with Haiti though, with those colonial masters, so
yeah,
they still keep Haiti on the edge. So it's like, ah, boy. I did Caribbean thought, and while I studied here, and I got to study the history of Jamaica, the 1980 with Siaga and Michael Manley, when Michael Manley decided, to ally with Castro and the USA,
yeah,
that happened, and embargo. And I did that in Caribbean thought. I did the 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 thing in Cowell Garden. I did all these things in Caribbean thought. So I get to understand the history of Jamaica as well. And I see it's the same thing. Because if you want to ally with Castro, for them, Castro is a dictator, which is not true. He's a man working for his country.
yes.
Right now, if Andrew Holness says, listen, the Chinese, I want you to come to help me to build Jamaica. I want train, just like England, from England to France. I want the train line. I want the wood. I want everything. Next thing you will hear the US calling dictator, and they will get to kill it. That I
yes.
said. But
But
anyone wants to get away, you are dictator, and they will mess up the whole thing in your hand.
and that is what the essentially. Hold on, hold on a second. But the petition that we have the petition is really asking for people to support a Haiti. The petition is asking people Caribbean people from all walks of life to sign the petition to support the restoration of Haitian democracy. That's what basically what the that's basically what the petition is saying. We're asking Caribbean people to to support the restoration of Haitian democracy. Notice the word restoration because democracy is supposed to be Haiti is supposed to be a part of this drive, this thrust, democracy. Sorry.
Democracy, yes. Yes, 80,
Yes,
yes, sure.
a democratic nation. And what does that mean? It means that that's part of this drive for self-determination. That's the whole Caribbean, the whole CARICOM. What we are about is we all got independence, and some of our independence was influenced by the Haitian Revolution.
Oh, sure.
That okay. So we have to support each other. We exist. Haiti is our neighbors. So we have a responsibility to support our brothers and our sisters in the fight for freedom. That's part of Pan-Africanism. That's part if you read, we're going to be reading in the Caribbean Thought. We're going to be reading C.L.R. James, Walter Rodney. We're going to be reading all of these people, and they were seen as West Indian. At one point, I was watching C.L.R. James in an interview yesterday, and in the interview he said he was talking about the revolution in Cuba, and he said the Cuban Revolution, and he said of Fidel Castro. He said Fidel Castro and the Cubans, they are not black, but the kind of revolution that they have, is a West Indian revolution.
Okay.
It's a West Indian revolution. It's a revolution for freedom, for self-determination, for nationalism, and so on. And that is the kind. So we all were faced with the same kind of Black liberation, fight for Black liberation. They were part of the Black liberation movement. And of course, there is this Black liberation theology. I mean, Caribbean thought, we talk about Black liberation, the Black liberation movement. And so in theology, there's also Black liberation theology, part of liberation theology. But that is important, part of the fight for independence, the fight for freedom, the fight for nationhood, the fight for self-determination. That's why many of these guys were Marxists. Many of these people became Rastas. Many of these people developed a kind of consciousness that were seen as radical. They were seen, of course, you were radical, even the religion many people wanted a radical religion to fight against what they see was oppression. Okay. Sure. And so when you think about it now, Haitians are fighting for the kind of they're fighting for self-determination, they're fighting for self-governance, irrespective of whatever they have the Chinese have a kind, whether or not the Americans don't like communism, whether or not they don't like a particular, it's not their business. At least the Chinese they get to vote who they want. So what we are saying in the petition is that we want a Haitian-led solution. The Haitians should determine who they want who they want to be their prime minister, who they want to be the president. The Haitians should determine who they want to run their country and the kind of governance. They have to come together, not the Americans and not the Brazilians, not the Canadians, no one else. It is the Haitians that have to make the determination. And that is what the petition is saying. That is the drive for that. So, as in Caribbean theology, how does our theology speak to that? What passion? I mean, we talk about the theology of passion. That's what we talk about Christian theology. The Caribbean theology is still one that is informed by the Judeo-Christian faith of virtue, Christian virtue of love and sacrifice, and that being the Good Samaritan. And so what responsibility do we have as Good Samaritan when we see our brothers on the road, such as the Haitians who are fighting right now? The reason why we have the kind of crisis and the challenges that we had over the weekend is because the Haitians are fighting for freedom. They are fighting for freedom. They're fighting for self-governance. Okay, and you have the Ariel who is running. Who is the prime minister? They don't want Ariel. They don't want Ariel.
Nobody wants Ariel because it is said that, I cannot say that because I don't know. It is said that he was comploted in killing the president as well. Hi, Kevin. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. I was just checking. Which class is this, please?
Caribbean Theology.
Oh, it's Caribbean Theology. I see Caribbean Thought, and I'm like, Caribbean Thought.
No. Where you see Caribbean Thought? No, this class. No. This is no. You have Caribbean Thought or Caribbean Theology in there.
No, you have Caribbean Theology in the You have Caribbean Thought and in the email.
Oh wow! Sorry, I meant Caribbean
Thought first meeting tonight. See, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh my God. Caribbean Theology. Sorry, because listen, I'm teaching Caribbean Thought this semester and theology, and I was sending an email to the students. So I think that was part of the problem. So what go on? Welcome, Karen.
Yeah, I'm here, sir. I'm here. I'm going to take, the tough, dry, no water Jamaica easy.
What do you mean no water Jamaica easy? What that mean?
The drought is so terrible. They have to be regulating the water. So I'm turning it off in the days and turn it on in the night.
Wait, they have a drought in Jamaica right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's on this side of the world, I don't know about like the other persons, but our water pressure is so low, and when it does come, it goes away in the morning. So
why do you guys have water problems in Jamaica? You guys are surrounded by water. I don't understand. Why? No, why is there a water problem when you guys are surrounded by water? What's going on?
I mean, we are deficient. We are deficient in many different ways. Like, for example, when the dam was made in Kingston, it was not made for a population, in the city this big. And over time, they have not done the necessary upgrading work to be able to facilitate the influx of people coming, within the corporate space. And so as a result, the dam is filled with silt or sand, and the water that is in it is not sufficient to supply adequately, to everybody. And so what they have to do, they have to be regulating the water. In St. Catherine, similarly, they would have run some pipelines into Kingston to try to get some of the water in St. Catherine into Kingston. But because of the low water levels and rain not falling as often within the seasons that we're supposed to be having plenty rainfall, we realize that there's a shortage. We don't do enough water harvesting. We don't have enough stuff in place for that also, so that we can store water for seasons like this. I mean, it comes down again to bad governance, and we have seen it decades upon top of decades. But it is what it is.
It is not what it is. It is not what it is. So what are you guys doing? What is the citizenry doing to apply the pressure or to lobby the government? Or what? You seem to have an idea. You said water harvesting.
I mean, Jamaica is one of the most laid back nation right now. The only time Jamaica becomes united in anything at all is when one set of people put on green shirt and the other put on orange. Outside of that, there's no unity. The green people will be united for that cause, and the orange people will be united for that cause. But when it comes on to on a holistic level, broad scale, to say, listen, let's even the other day when I took the race, let's tackle that thing because there's so much injustice. And I mean, you don't see anybody rising up when like the little girl died the other day. You don't see communities rising up and saying, no, we have to find these people. But once this year them say election, let's go. People are united in their orange and in their green just for that cause. I mean, I don't think this is, I believe, from a Christian perspective, I believe that we are in the last of what we call, the getting close to the apocalyptic period. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the world getting it. I don't see Jamaica. We can't even talk about the world. Jamaica getting any better than this, because the people, their mind have been so. They have been cultured in such a way. This generation would have to pass away. I'm telling you. And there's somebody like the Bible said, when the old Pharaoh died, a new Pharaoh rose up that didn't know about the covenant between the Israelites. And so he started to pressure them. A new generation would have to rise up when they know nothing about PNP and JLP. And then we probably can have some level of unity as it regards to, us seeing justice, us seeing good systems put in place, for our kids, for our welfare, for our, our development within this part of the hemisphere. But until that time comes and passes, well, I don't see this thing changing. I'm telling you, sir.
There's so much I can respond. There's so much to unpack, because I would ask the question, you have a water crisis, but people are still not united around water crisis because it does not involve political benefits or any political issues that people can derive out of. So, I mean, but water is life. So why would people not be united on the issue of life? And it's
crazy, It's crazy, sir, that my water bill is so expensive. I'm paying like $10,000 per month for water. Oh, wow. I see my water bill move from like $3,000 and $4,000 average to $10,000 average now, maybe over the past year and a half. And as it stands, I use the last little bit of water that was in my tank on the roof. Right? And I am now sitting right here where I'm sitting down. I'm waiting on a truck to buy water
Yeah.
And I was told that they open in the community over there. So I'm actually buying what I mean. I talk about me in a Portmore, you know, Portmore, Jamaica. And
Yeah, I know Portmore.
so just imagine, me the right at Cumberland here. So.
Oh, I have water in good Portmore.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay, do not interrupt the class about where you. I'm just messing.
So, hold on, you having water over there? Or you having low pressures too?
No, I have water like high pressure.
In Greater Portmore?
Yes.
William, where are you? You have water issues there too?
Something wrong on this side, it look like.
Yes, I'm here.
But anyways, but just before you guys came on this, Chantel is my assistant. She's the lecturer assistant, and she just works, and she works beyond that to help me with the NeoLiberal Corporation as my assistant. But I had indicated earlier that we were talking about the Haiti crisis or the Haitian situation, and we were talking about Black liberation and the Black liberation theology, fighting for freedom and justice and independence and self-governance and nation statehood and so on. And we talk about, I was asking William if he had signed the petition. He said he hasn't signed it yet, but there was a petition that we are doing that we started. We are petitioning for the restoration of of democracy in Haiti. And notice we say the word restoration of democracy because Haiti was the first Black colony or country to get independence, but over the years they have struggled to demonstrate or to operate as a free and independent nation. They have been penetrated, they have been invaded, and of course, many people have opinions about Haiti. I remember one time in a Caribbean Thought class, one student said, well, it's the Haitians' fault. And
I just said it to you, as a Haitian, it's our fault. And what's going on in Haiti, nobody will solve it for Haiti, you know.
Yeah. But I think okay, but the petition is saying that we want a Haitian-led solution. It is the Haitians that must come together, not the and we don't and it's not and the first thing we have to do is the Haitians need to elect to have the privilege and the freedom like any other individual from any other human being, have that right and privilege to vote, the democratic right to vote for who they want as their government, to lead them and to help to position them, like what they did in the 90s when they elected Aristide. Now, of course, there are wider issues. So how does our theology speak to the fight? And I said earlier that Jamaica has suspended consular service to Haiti because of the crisis, the violence in Haiti. But the question is, how do we, as a people, we're fighting for change. We did a petition. We created a petition asking for, and in fact, since you guys are here, let me read the petition that we have because I want you guys to sign the petition, and I think we have a responsibility to. But I'm going to read. I don't want to read the petition yet, though. I want to read an article. I wrote an article about, let me see if I can read it. I wrote an article and I submitted to the Jacobins magazine. I write a lot. I'm a writer. I'm a content creator. I write. I'm a writer. I love to write. And I would tell you that I'm good at it. At this point, I'm good. I'm very good at it. Anyways, but I wrote an article. I submitted it to the Gleaner. I don't know if they're going to publish it. I submitted it to the Jacobins magazine. They may publish it because it's things they publish things. But it was published in the NeoLiberal Post in the NeoLiberal Post, and in it, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see it. Share my screen. Share. Okay, we're sharing the screen. And it's the NeoLiberal post. This is the NeoLiberal post. So listen to it. Says Voices United, a petition for democracy in Haiti by Renaldo McKenzie. And I wrote this on June 12, which was yesterday. And of course, tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm writing like crazy. Some time ago, I prayed and I said, God, give me a lot of content. Give me a lot of content. Overwhelm me. And can I tell you, God is giving me a lot of content. I mean, when I pray.
So I was just gonna ask you, like, in writing, do you have a format in terms of you have some checklists, some stuff that you definitely has to add in there, like, you know, you're writing a book right now, and you're probably, I mean, maybe you have a template. That's what I'm trying to find out. Do you have a template from which you write?
You always, when you write, you always want to have an outline. You always have an outline, but because of, I mean, I studied philosophy and I have been in college all my life. I'm a career student, probably, you can say. But let me answer that question. I said to somebody recently, if you don't read and expose yourself to information and to knowledge, then you can't write anything. You can't develop your thinking. A lot of writing involves, you have to have a critical mind. My writing is directed because I have a particular philosophy. I have developed a particular frame. Say, for example, I tell you I write in a very Marxist bent because I'm a Marxist. I'm a Marxist. I'm a critical thinker. I'm part of the school. I'm a skeptic. So I write in a skeptical way. I write in a critical way. Yesterday, I did a class, last week, and I talk about what is critical thinking? Thinking is about thinking and rethinking what was previously thought. Okay, it is dissecting truth because you come to the realization, like Kant, who is suspicious of Newtonian physics, and Newtonian physics is what has informed Western civilization, which has informed Caribbean theology and Caribbean thinking and Caribbean ways, because we are part of the Americas, and the Americas is an invention. The Americas is a construction, and we say, like Norman Gurman, in Caribbean Reader, the Caribbean is an invention of the 20th century. So what will it be in the 21st century? Will it be reinvented? And who will reinvent it? Okay. So of course, so I am a critical thinker. So so we keep thinking. So when I write in a Marxist bent. I push the bar in a sense. I don't take anything for granted. I don't. So I say to you that when you come. Like Kant, who is suspicious of Newtonian physics and Newtonian laws. Newtonian laws, the law of thermodynamics. That is what has informed Western civilization, and we are part of that Western civilization. So therefore, if that is what has informed, so Kant says. He says that history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance. And he said that if you read Kant on history, and he says that history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance. So whatever is happening in society, that has helped to inform an understanding of history and perspectives, because perspectives is what gives rise to history, because history is an interpretation of events. But the interpretation of that history is done within a particular bent. So it is not free from human privilege, from human understanding. And so we said, and human nature. But what of human nature? What is human nature? Human natures, when you study nature, then you study the biblical passages. You study from Adam and Eve. You study from Cain and Abel and the beginning of time, and how Cain privileged a particular thing, and how he reacted in violence because of a privilege, a hurt. But when you study human natures and how the human thinks, and if you study the foundations of knowledge and the hegemonies of faith, then it gives rise. So I am from that. I'm skeptical. So I believe that what we have in society is not free from human beings. What we have in society, so even religion, your professor, you will say that even in society, we are not free from human beings. So Karen asked me, so how do you write? Is there an outline? So I'm going to answer the question now, having said that. So I write in a very skeptical bent. So when I write in a very persuasive way. When you write, you can write to inform, or you can write to persuade. And of course, it depends on your audience, who you're writing, what you're writing about. Those things are important when you write. Okay. So the answer to Karen is this: when you write, if I think about my writing, I always say to people, say for example, if my professor, usually when I'm asked to write about something, my papers were usually late, to be honest. Anyways, but because I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to write about. I don't write anything on the paper. I read, and if you look at, I have a lot of books around me. I read and read and read, and I watch TV, watch the news, listen to what people are saying. I go on the street, listen to people. All in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what I have to write about, and I think about it, you expose yourself to stimuli and to information all the time. Your brain is working, and sometimes I go in my bedroom or wherever, and I lay down and I think, and I have meditation and solitude. Talk about Richard Foster Wright wrote the book, The Celebration of Discipline, and he talked about the 7 disciplines and reflections. And of course, Socrates says the unexamined life is not worth living. So I spend a lot of time in reflection and meditation. After that, I might get an epiphany. Or I'm talking about I'm talking with somebody about, hey, and I like to talk about what I'm going to write about. I'm talking all the time. I talk widely. Doesn't matter. I might be talking crazy. But one time, you are talking, and I'm excited about the thing I'm writing about. I'm very excited. I'm crazy about it. I'm passionate about it. So you are speaking with somebody you're thinking about it, and of course you start thinking with somebody about several things going on in your mind. But while you're speaking to someone, you're brainstorming in a sense, but you're in a very verbal way. But while doing so, you get an epiphany. You get an epiphany, and something sparks you, and while talking, and you think about a relationship, something you never, and you grab a piece of pen and a paper and you start writing about everything. You brainstorm, you write everything that comes to your mind about the topic you're writing about and what you've been talking about, interacting it with some of the people you have read and so on. And you write that, you write. When you have completed that, then you organize it in an organized way, in an outline, with a topic, an hypothesis. You always want to have an hypothesis. You want to have an assertion. What are you proving? What is the relationship that you're trying to show? When you write, you are always trying to show a relationship. And because I'm a student of philosophy, I write in a very logical and reasonable way. And because I'm a student of liberal arts and liberal studies, and liberal arts again and liberal studies delves into issues that lifts up issues of ethics and values, human ethics and value. So it promotes issues of ethics and human value. Okay, issues of ethics and human value. So it always thinking about how does whatever I write about, I'm writing, what is the relationship between two variables or two concepts, and how does it speak to or lift up issues of human ethics and value? And of course, I'm an interdisciplinary student. I like interdisciplinary studies. So I study anthropology, sociology, philosophy, political economy, psychology, economics, accounting, English. I have studied interdisciplinary studies. So, and of course, so that I draw on and everything that I have studied, I bring to bear in my writing. There is nothing that is left out. Everything comes to bear in my writing. So of course, so then after you have brainstormed and write down everything and a piece of concept. That, say for example, last week I wrote a letter to the editor, which was published. I wrote a letter to the Gleaner, and it was published, and it was a letter that entitled Dear Editor, because in fact, it was entitled Dear Editor, and the letter is in the Jamaica Gleaner, and the letter speaks to the issue of, I don't remember what it speaks to. It speaks to the, what was the letter about? The letter was about, have we misunderstood our heritage? Have we misunderstood our heritage? I wrote a letter in the Jamaica Gleaner entitled, have we misunderstood our heritage? And so I wrote, and I wrote that because I wasn't thinking about writing it. I just was talking to somebody about the Urban Indian Heritage Society and how I had interviewed them for my podcast and for a show that I did, and I had them on the show. And so while talking to somebody about it, I got an epiphany, and I wrote on a small piece of paper. I'm going to tell you, the letter that I wrote that was published came from this. Can you guys see this? Can you see this? Can you guys, hello? Can you
It
guys
looks
see?
blank, sir. Look like a blank piece of paper.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry. It's because of the, something is wrong with the background. Okay, with the background. But anyway, it's a piece of paper, and I tear it out and I wrote, what is the Jamaican identity? What is the Jamaican heritage or roots? And that's how it started. I just asked a question. Sometimes it's good to ask question. What is the Jamaican? You always ask yourself question and because it's part of critical thinking. What is the Jamaican identity? What is the Jamaican root? And that's how it's. And then from there, you develop an outline. Okay. So you always want, and you always want, and you always want. You always want to. You always want. You always want to develop. You always, are you guys listening? Hello?
Yes, sir, I'm listening. I'm listening, sir. I'm listening.
You always want to develop an outline. Okay, so so you develop an outline which shows the relationship of the thing you want to develop. Okay, and by the way, I wrote an article, and the article is available on here. It says how to create a powerful petition for change. So I have steps to do that. Say, for example, you might have issues you want to talk about, you can do that. But anyways, I wrote this article. Listen to the article. Voices United, a petition for democracy. It's important because it speaks to theological issues in this article I'm about to read to you. Okay? All right, are you ready? It says this, it's entitled Voices United, a petition for democracy in Haiti. Once upon a time, in the Caribbean and the diaspora, a group of passionate students and their professors in Caribbean thought class at Jamaica Theological Seminary came together to advocate for a cause close to their hearts, the restoration of democracy in Haiti. Inspired and challenged by the work of the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, in raising awareness and fighting for justice and democracy in Haiti, a group of individuals felt compelled to take action. They recognized their duty as good Samaritans. They recognized their duty as good Samaritans. So the issue of our responsibility as good Samaritans, and that story is a biblical story talking about the Good Samaritan. They recognized their duty as good Samaritans to their Haitian brothers and sisters, and were motivated by the lack of social action among Caribbean peoples in support of Haiti's fight. Again, they recognize their duty as good Samaritans, okay, of people with Christian virtue, whose theology of virtue, or theology that involves social action. So the question is, we talk about garnet rope. Later on, we're going to talk in a few minutes. I'm going to begin the lecture to introduce it. Just both of you. There's one more person that's not in this class, but and we're going to talk about. This is going to be our meeting time, and we're going to work on a project together, an essay or whatever. But we'll talk about that. But this is important when you talk about our theology. Does your theology involve social action? So we talk about a theology of social action. They recognize their duty as good Samaritans to their Haitian brothers, and these are theological students, and I said they recognize their duty as good Samaritans to their Haitian brothers and sisters, and were motivated By what? What were they motivated by? They were motivated by the lack of social action among Caribbean peoples in support of Haiti's fight. And I asked the question, we talk about Jamaica we say Jamaica is a predominantly Christian nation who's driven by the theology, this Judeo-Christian theology of Christian virtue, with Jesus as the example. And say, for example, we learn in scriptures where Jesus saw his brothers and his sisters. I mean, sorry, there's a story in the Bible that talks about if one of your brothers or your sisters gets lost, he leaves the 99 and look for that one. Okay, he leaves his brothers and sisters in the fight. Okay, and before you guys came on, I mentioned to Rolly about C.L.R. James. C.L.R. James said of Fidel Castro and the Cuban Revolution. He said that the Cubans and Fidel Castro, they are not necessary. He said of their revolution, although they are not Black, and C.L.R. James was part of that Black liberation movement, although they are not Black, and Black liberation theology promote this kind of social action and this fight for freedom. Liberation speaks to issues of freedom. We talk about liberalism. Talk about liberation speaks to issues of freedom. Liberation is what gives drive to nationalism and self-determination, okay? It comes out of a theology of social action, a theology of sacrifice, a theology of action, okay? That, and especially for people who are oppressed.
Sir, may I beg you 2 minutes? The water truck is here, yeah?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
May I beg you 2 minutes? Let me get this start out.
Okay. But Roliam, Roliam, you understand? So we have this issue of social action, our theology, this issue of social action and sacrifice. That's what should inform that kind of the Caribbean theology, in a sense. That's what should inform Caribbean theology. But these students are putting their theology in action when we create petitions like these. With a deep sense of purpose, they embarked on a transformative journey to address these challenges head on. They believed in the power of unity and sought to gather support from the Caribbean community and its member nations to take a stand for their Haitian brothers and sisters. In their quest, and the question is, are we brothers and sisters? In their quest to bring about change, they decide to create a petition campaign entitled CARICOM People and Their Diaspora Support the Restoration of Democracy in Haiti. The petition aimed to raise awareness about the deteriorating democratic situation in Haiti and call upon CARICOM to remove international support for the current de facto authorities. So that's what the petition is calling for. The petition is calling for the removal of international support for the current de facto authorities. That is important. With great enthusiasm, they carefully crafted the petition, capturing the essence of Haiti's struggle and its significance to the Caribbean region. They highlighted the systemic dismantling of Haiti's democracy, the control exerted by gangs, the rampant corruption draining public sources, and the alarming levels of hunger faced by millions of Haitians. And just so you know, the issue of income inequality. When you study developing countries, there is the issue of income inequality, and there is a small dominant class in Haiti. Okay, that support, I understand, the PHDK. Am I right, Roliam?
Yes.
And they support the Ariel regime. They support the Ariel.
PHDK is a party, or if political party that came with Mateli, the musician.
Yes.
Who initiated that one.
Okay, so is the issue then? Is the issue a political issue in Haiti?
Of course, the main
Where
problem is a
say for
political
example,
issue.
you have JLP and PNP, and JLP is in
Oh, sure.
power.
Oh, they most definitely.
But JLP is but JLP is retaining power and has abandoned all elections. So it's as if they're supposed to have an election, but they're not having one.
Yeah,
Is that the issue?
It's the same thing. And not only that too, when you have Lavalas, which is the party for Aristide, when they are not in power, any other party that is in power, they work to deteriorate everything you do. It doesn't matter what you build, they will break it down because they are not in power. When they come in power now, the next party does the same thing.
Okay, let me ask a question. PHTK, so the president was assassinated.
Yeah.
Right. But before he died, just before he died, he had appointed
Ariel.
Mm-hmm. But was he was appointed, but he wasn't confirmed. Is that the issue?
He was appointed?
Yes, but was he confirmed?
No, he was not confirmed by the president. Well, he was appointed, and before his installation, the president was killed.
Okay, so there was supposed to be what? Another election for president and another new government.
For sure. In fact, that's what Jovenel was working about. He was working on a referendum and election.
Yes. When was the last time Haiti had an election?
2017.
And how often do you guys have elections in Haiti?
Every 5 years it should be.
Oh, so
it should be for president every 5 years, for the Senate every 4 years.
Okay. So right now, so there should have been an election in 2022, but there hasn't been any election.
Why? No election since 2017.
Why is that the case?
Because Jovenel was he wanted to do election, but they opposed him because the tendency is that when Aristide was president, he organized the election and Preval, who is prime minister, became president. So basically, who is in power will always direct the election in a way for somebody in his party to be elected. So they oppose with Jovenel not to do election because they think that somebody from PHTK, which is PHTK, would win. But when PHTK now realized that Jovenel did not want to do that, he decided to boycott PHTK, and they are the same one who killed him. Jovenel was not killed outside of the party that he was elected. You know, the same party was elected. It's the same people who plotted to kill him.
Okay.
Yeah. He decided not to do what is traditionally done. So I am in power, organize the election, but ensure that my party retain power.
Okay, but so because of that, they killed him.
Yeah, they killed him.
They killed him on the issue that they believe that he was violating the Constitution.
Not the Constitution. He was working with the Constitution because he said, I am going to organize the election, and whoever wins is the person who's going to be president. I am not for, I am not against. I'm doing what you call democratic election.
Okay. Oh, okay. So sorry. Okay, fine. So he was killed because of that.
Oh, yeah, he was killed. Jovenel was not killed because he was not good for an Haitian positive idea. He was killed because he was good for Haitian. If he wasn't good, they wouldn't kill him. Somebody who has no use for the country. Why should they kill him? They would just leave him.
Who killed him? Who it is that killed him?
Well, until now we are trying to find out. There are allegations, but you know, who knows? Because basically what we see a group of people from Colombia, right? That come and plotted with Asian people that until now you cannot find out who they are. And those guys, you know, they were in prison in Haiti. They transferred them to the United States. Right now I have one of my uncle. He was the security detail of the president, Jovenel. He is in prison in Haiti. But when I asked him, he said not even know, he didn't know. But I said, who you are the detail of the detail, not those guys who work with the high power weapon. He was in charge of those guys who wear the suit and close to the president, the detail.
Yes.
And I say, uncle, tell me how you didn't know. He say, he didn't have a clue of what was going on. But all those guys are in prison. He's in prison too in Haiti.
Why is he in prison?
Well, because all those guys were the security details of the president. All of them are in prison.
They think he has something to do with it. Or
of course, they were, because they him. But he was at home.
Scapegoat. Are they trying to scapegoat, or probably they're just trying to scapegoat those people?
Of course, definitely. Because if you hear allegation that the person who is the current prime minister is somehow implicated, that's the woman Haiti, and that's why Haitian doesn't want him. Haitian don't want him. We don't want him. We don't want him at all, because there are allegations that he has participated in the death of the president. Now, what he should do, he should take himself to court. Each time they invite him, he boycott that, he don't go.
So let me ask you a question. So are majority of the Haitians calling for an election and to have Ariel removed?
Oh, sure. He should have been removed from yesterday.
On both sides?
Of course. Well, basically, those people who are with him who are getting benefit, they will be still for him. You still have people for him. But the majority of the population, they are against Ariel. 100%. The diaspora against him.
Let me ask, is it a fair call or a fair request or demand by the Haitians requesting for Ariel to be removed? Is it fair? Is it justifiable? Why should he remove himself? Is it fair? Is he legally there? Is he democratically there? That's the question.
He's not legally, he's not democratic. He's just a de facto prime minister.
Okay.
And so I'm not living in Haiti right now, because I left Haiti in like almost 12 years, more than 10 years. So I have been to Haiti 2019, and that was not the case. But right now, as I speak to you, there are chaos in Haiti. People are hungry, and it's gunfire, especially the capital, Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince is something that they should eliminate and rebuild it back.
Oh wow! You said they should eliminate it and rebuild it.
The wall, sink the whole Port-au-Prince, sink it out and rebuild it back.
Yes. Wow.
Sink out the whole Port-au-Prince and bring it back.
Okay, so what? You said that the Haitians should come together and they should and they are the only ones who can fix the problem, the crisis in terms. So the question is, why is there warfare? Why is there the kind of violence in Haiti right now, especially the one that we just heard of over the weekend, recently?
Based on allegations, the weapons that come to Haiti doesn't make weapons. We don't build weapons. Haiti has no manufactured for weapon in Haiti. Because even in Jamaica, you would hear that the Haitians, they come to exchange gun for ganja, but we don't make gun in Haiti. Now, the question is, how comes we have so many high-powered weapons that entered Haiti? How comes? What's the channel? Where they come from? Recently I was listening to Mutabauka, and when I was listening to him, that was something pre-recorded, I don't want to misquote what he said. But he was saying, when they keep saying Haiti bought gun to Jamaica, he said Haiti doesn't make gun. He said the question is to find out where the guns come from. Haiti doesn't make gun. So right now, the amount of guns, I mean high-powered weapons, those guys have in Haiti is machine weapons they have. The man that carried himself the weapon, the slippers that he has, and the pants that he has, if he has that kind of money, he would have taken care of himself rather he buy this weapon. So if somebody give it to him, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, this is quite interesting.
Imagine a boy in the street with just a short pants and a t-shirt, and he has a weapon that could be sold for 10,000 US. You think he is the one who buy it? No, he is not.
Yes. This is quite interesting. This is powerful. I should have you come to my Caribbean Thought class on Monday. You should come to the class so that you can.
Well, I grew up in Haiti. I lived in Haiti, and I know Every day I read about Haiti. I know everything. All those guys you see are talking, even those who are in Jamaica right now with the prime minister, majority of them, they are Judas. All of them, they sell out Haiti long time. So they just trying to see what they can benefit. And some of them, while you hear the type of poverty, misery, inhumane condition that Haitians are living, but you have some of them in the government, some of those politicians, they are extremely rich.
Listen, this is powerful. I want to share this discussion I'm having with you on Facebook right now. This is too good. No, this is powerful what you're talking about. I have a question for you. Do you believe that Jamaica should have what is, as a Haitian right now, as someone from Haiti, do you believe that Jamaica should invite Ariel to Jamaica?
Well, he's in Jamaica. I don't know. They were today.
What do you feel? How do you think about that? Because in a sense, to invite him in his capacity as the de facto prime minister is to, in a sense, recognize his leadership and to recognize his leadership, in a sense. It's to, in a sense, it's to anoint him, it's to approve of him. And it's completely objecting to what if the Haitians are saying that he's not the prime minister, he's okay, he needs to go in the new prime minister, but yet still there is problems, there are issues surrounding his legitimacy. But he's here in the official capacity as a prime minister, and they're talking him up here in Jamaica. What do you think about that?
Well, there are questions that are above our thinking, because the point is the international community seems to be, in agreement with him being the president, because he was in the Bahamas recently. So he's been traveling representing Haiti. So I find it hilarious that for him to be representing us. Like me right now, they are in Jamaica. I don't know where they are. I don't even find out where they are because they are not representing me. They are in Jamaica doing their business. So I don't even know. I don't know which hotel. In fact, I remember Haitian president used to come to Jamaica. I drive, find out where they are and go visit. But those guys, man, they do Haiti too bad. They do the country very bad. You know what I'm saying to you? Haiti now is in a deplorable state where that is not a condition for a human being to live. Trust me on that. No, it should not. I mean, if for instance we say, as theologian, now we are studying, and the cases you're making here, the word that captured my attention is Good Samaritan. Now, as Good Samaritans, as Haitian with Haitian, first of all, let's start at home. As Jamaican to Jamaican, I don't expect a Jamaican, to kill a Jamaican. Now, my question all the time, I say, but if Jamaicans are killing Jamaicans, now, if another country invade Jamaica to kill all Jamaicans, who will fight for Jamaicans? We have to put together to fight any other country that come to overpower us. Haitians have to put together to fight any other nation that come to overpower Haiti. Then if we are killing ourselves, then what does that say to us? It says to us something is wrong somewhere.
Yeah. Do you think that removing this Prime Minister Ariel is going to resolve anything?
Skeptical about it, because it's how it's going to be done. Because Haiti is being driven by colonial thinking. There are hands behind, Haiti situation. There are people who benefit from it. There are people who tell them, that's what you have to do. That's how you have to go about it. Who am I to say remove Ariel, things going to change? Who am I? But as a young Haitian, who studied in Haiti, went to school to Haiti, trying to understand the political framework in Haiti, and to see those guys, I can tell you there should be a new generation of Haitian leaders, and I would say people to fear the Lord, at least would stand for the country, and at least things will be better. But until it's those guys, trust me, there won't be anything. Remove Ariel right now, one of his acolytes who are fighting with him will rise in power and fight against him, kill him and take power. So basically he can be killed by one of his own, entourage and to take power because it's a quest for power, for monopole, for autonomy, for money, so that they can get the resources of the Haiti to use the money and everything. And they are extremely rich, and on the other side you find the people extremely poor, in extreme poverty, extreme riches. So that's how it works. And so now saying remove Ariel for things to change, that's why I don't sign the petition, because I said, will the petition bring a change? Will the petition reach where it's supposed to reach, so that voice can be people, the voice can be heard, that they know, hey, listen, no, give these people a chance. Haiti want a chance, just know that. We need a chance at least to see where to go, because Haiti now we are blind, we can't see. Just as Floyd Judge, what's his name? What was it? Floyd Judge? No. In the state, we can't breathe. We can't breathe at all.
Oh, George Floyd. Yes.
We can't breathe at all. We can't breathe. It is dilapidated.
Oh, wow. Well, the thing is, you sound pessimistic.
I am, because those people who are in power, they cannot take the pressure of the colonial masters who will tell them that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because listen, no, Haitian President Jovenel is killed. He said, no, it's not only Haiti, it's more than that. Haitian, when Jovenel is killed, you think it's only Haitian put together to kill him? No. Everyone, almost the whole world know Jovenel is going to be killed. And those hands, invisible hands, the colonial masters that don't want Haiti to rise to its capacity, they too in the plot to kill Jovenel.
Well, I mean, there is also this issue of there is always this antagonism. There's always this issue with Haiti. Haiti's history is not devoid of tension.
Yeah.
Local tension from the local people, and of course also from your neighbors. What's your neighbors? You share. What are they called? Hispaniola? No, sorry.
Yeah, Dominican Republic, Hispaniola.
Dominican Republic, DR. Sorry, DR. And I know you've had a history with the. In fact, right now, there was an issue with DR, but DR really don't want you guys. Don't want Haiti.
They don't want Haitian. Well, there is nowhere on the world they want Haitian. It doesn't matter where you go. Recently, yes. I went in the embassy, US, for a visa, and the guy just take my passport. He said, "You are Haitian. What are you doing in Jamaica? How long have you been here?" And he said, "You are not eligible for the visa." Just like that. He just see me as an Haitian, and he know all I am doing is running away. All I am doing is maybe go to the US and hide and being illegal. And I have been in Jamaica 12 years. My wife is Jamaican. I have asset here. I have money here. So, but he look at me all in his mind, you are Asian. So, yes. You are not and where I am going to travel from the US, but I'm going Kenya to a meeting in Kenya, Nairobi. But I'm just passing in the US. I say, transit I apply for, in fact, not even for a visitor's visa, but the guy just take the passport. He say, "You are Asian. What are you doing in Jamaica? How long have you been here?" Just like that. So as a Asian, you are labeled. You're labeled. We are labeled and negatively. So it's a shame for the leaders to bring Haiti to that. But the part again is that those colonial masters who enslaved Haiti and took all his wealth, they don't want Haiti to rise. They will always keep Haiti where it is. Unless we Haitians say, okay, it's either you kill all of us or we rise to our potential, we're not going anywhere.
Okay, there's another issue that I will raise with you, because I've seen several of the documents, letters from several of your government activists, advocates talking about the problem and so on. But do you think part of the reason why the world, the big countries from the global north, the former colonial masters who are still colonial masters in a sense,
they are.
Do you think that part of the reason that they don't want Haiti to rise is because of the allegation or the legal filing or the legal suit, which I believe many are saying is justifiable, I get that Haiti have against France. Do you think that Haiti has, because of this, the story Jean Bertrand was trying to sue, was putting together a legal claim against France to recoup money that they had paid them for
restitution.
Do you think it has something to do with that?
Possible. I won't know. Possible. One thing I know though, Haiti, why I don't want clearly to say that Haiti is being paid for being the first Black country to gain independence. Why I don't want to say that is because Haitians are not united. Now, if we as Haitians were united and stand together for Haiti to become better, now I would say, okay, then all those, colonial masters that are fighting Haiti, so it's because, they don't want us to rise. But because we Haitians are divided, how on earth you think Haitians can put how much money that you would pay an Haitian for him to go kill his own president? That should not happen. Once you see how people can reach to the point, the money that they give him, or power, or benefits, or whatever you call it, and he agree to plot with outsider to come in his own homeland to kill his own president or their own president. This is extreme. I mean, there is nothing they cannot do.
Yes.
That's the point, if Haitians can agree with outsider or whichever their amount of money or power or privileges, and they agree to come kill a president in your own country, whether he is good or bad. So you think the Colombian president is the best in the world, but the Colombian will not ask you to come and help us to kill our president. They will not ask you that. You think their president is the best? No, he's not. In fact, what we know in politics, is that labeled politicians are all the same. So their president in Colombia is not the best, but they will not ask you to come help them to kill their own. Why should you ask them to come help you to kill your own? Impossible. If you can get to do that, like me, Jovenel, I don't know him. I never care about him, but I feel like I hate him because he was too naive. Allow them to kill him like that. That should not happen.
Well, I mean, so that's a good question. That's a good point you made, because naivete. Do you believe that not just Jovenel, do you believe a lot of Caribbean leaders, a lot of Caribbean governments, do you believe a lot of us are naive? Do you think that's part of, because, do you believe? And
why I call him naive, because no way you can kill Aristide like that. Yes. No way. You can come to Aristide house and take him and kill him like that. No way, not even in your dream. So not all the leaders.
Wow. Now I have another question. In terms of Haitian unity, and a lot of Haitians that I've spoken to talk about internal, this dividedness, but I mean, what's going on in the world today? There's a lot of dividedness, there's a lot of infighting, there's extremism on the rise of populism here in the US. There's, for example, in Jamaica in the 1980s and 90s, and even now there is still this issue of fighting between, there was this tribal warfare which impeded Jamaica's growth and development in a sense. But this, do you think that even, and in the Congos as well, there's a lot of former colonial countries, they are dealing with issues of violence, issues of stagnation, issues of mixed development. It is as if it is the inability to come together is part of the strategy. But if you look at even slavery, when slavery started and triangular trade, and the way in which the slaves were brought in the Middle Passage, the slaves were brought here in the Middle Passage, and they were divided. They were divided up in several different areas because of that's they put them in different tribes, and when you are able to divide people, it is a strategy of power. Power. People are going to control other people to the point where you strip away their humanity. It requires something very elaborate, and part of keeping down the slave, preventing them from rebelling, preventing them from rising up and preventing change. You do that when you divide, when you develop a system that keeps people divided. And so the system that has been inherited in Haiti is a system that continues this division, which is a part of a strategy. Do you think that is part of the problem, that the Haitians have inherited an ideology of colonialism, which continues this unity among themselves, where they can't even come together, which... Yes. But they seem to be united on the Ariel issue, though. They seem to be united on the Ariel issue.
There will always be one who will rise and say, I am for Ariel. There will always be one that rises. Right now, you have people who are going in the media and say, allow Ariel to spend the time. And right now, for me, one thing I know, this Ariel you see, he doesn't have any intention to do election. He doesn't have any intention for election to happen, because he wants to keep power. He wants to remain in power. Even if you hear he speak about election, all his entourage, don't listen to them. They don't want election to be done. They don't want that. Because what you have to know, those guys who always want a transition, or you call it, or a temporary government, if they go election, people will vote them. Is 1% they will gain as vote. 1%, not even 2% they won't get.
Oh, wow.
The only way they can be in power is just take it by force, temporary or transition, or we call it in Haiti. But if you send them in election right now, no more than 2%, 1%. That's all they will get.
Mm.
So
yes.
this is a big issue, but it hurts me when I see Haiti in the state, as Asian, it hurts me, and to see, the potential that I know we have. I went to Haiti with my wife.
Yes.
Because I live in Jamaica. Now, people always say Haiti is like, you think about a desert, you think where there is no food, there is no trees, it's just misery, there is no water, there is no concrete buildings. And I went in Haiti with my wife 2019. And when she reached to Haiti, she looked, but she said, listen, I see Haiti have buildings just like Jamaica. You have trees, you have fruit, you have banana. It's like, she said, then what is it about Haiti? The idea is that Haiti is like something you don't, nothing. But when we went and we walk, we drive, we go to the beach. And then my wife said, but I don't see the difference. Because she's Jamaican, but in Jamaica, you would hear, people say, you are Asian, and boat you take. Sometimes people ask me if I come on the boat to Jamaica, if I am one of the boat people. That's the only thing they know about Haiti. We take boat and go in the sea and die or whatever.
Let me ask a question. Haiti, what is it that is distinctive, or what it is about Haiti what it is about Haiti's history, what it is about Haiti's history that distinguishes it from other Caribbean West Indian countries, or former colonized West Indian countries? What in their history, what it is? Do you know?
Well, each one of us, basically Haiti was first and foremost colonized by France, right? Other countries like Jamaica, British. So there is some kind of difference here. And we speak French in Haiti and Haitian Creole. Now in Jamaica, we speak English. So
yes.
After that, about the history, what Haiti is the first Black nation that get independence in 1804. And Haiti, during the time before we come in that so-called democracy in Haiti, Haiti was in a state like Jamaican used to go to Haiti to buy. They use when Jamaican used to go to Haiti doing Duvalier. Duvalier say once you reach in Haiti, you are a free man, live life. And Haiti was beautiful. So basically, we have that long legacy of being the good Samaritan. Haiti, yeah, of being the good Samaritan. But now we turn into that whatever, I don't know what we become now. So, but you see, in the Caribbean though, I am very much grateful for Jamaica. And every day I say thanks to Jamaica, because Jamaica is the only Caribbean country. Let me not say only, because that's where I live, you know. I know Jamaica, I don't know anywhere else. But I think Jamaica somehow kind, you know, look at Haitian like Haitians are our brothers. So they kind of sympathize with us. That in Jamaica. This is whether it's the government, whether the people of Jamaica, the only problem they might have with us, our accent. So when I speak, you know, my accent is not Jamaican. So probably they would ask me where you come from. But you can see that kind of sympathy, that kind of love from Jamaican for Haitians, that when we go to some other islands in the Caribbean, they would just wash you out, kill or beat or, you know, put us to prison and ship us back to Haiti. But Jamaican always have that kind of sympathy. This is something I appreciate. I think Jamaica is always want to hear something good about Haiti. I believe that. I don't know why. I don't know when we came from Africa, if we came on the same boat, but they ship some to the French country, some to the English, so we remain brothers and sisters. But I know Jamaica has that kind of love for Haiti, because when the Haitians come here to work in the organization I'm working, that's the place we get work permit easy. In all the islands in the Caribbean, Jamaica give us work permit easy. Jamaica, they give us work permit and they allow us, but other countries, some of them, they don't want Haitians at all.
Yes, wow, this is quite, and you said it, yes, you hit it on the head there, because I asked the question and I know the answer, but I asked you, and but of course, one thing that distinguishes the history, which makes the history unique, is Haiti is one of the only countries that I know of that, I mean, colonized black country that got independence through a revolution, to Saint Bonaventure. Yes, the first. And I don't know of any country. In fact, you might hear of small rebellions in Jamaica and some of these other countries. But their independence, first of all, they got independence in 1804. They got in 1804. You guys got independence, or you got independence in 1804. But you didn't really get independence. You didn't get independence. You took your independence.
Exactly. That's the word. We took our independence by force.
By force, and that is the problem.
Haiti fought the greatest army of the time with Napoleon Bonaparte from France.
Yes,
that was the greatest and the most powerful. But remember too, there was that Jamaican priest who was very much instrumental in our independence, Dirty Bookman. So we have him in our history in Haiti. He was a Jamaican. He was. He was the person who initiated that.
Spell that name for me. Spell the name. Spell it.
We call it. It should be D-O with an accent.
T-Y. Put it in the chat.
T-Y. Yeah. All right. Let me type it for you.
D-O-T. Dirty Bookman. Okay. So
It's not dirty. It's not dirty. It's Dirty Bookman. That's how we call him, and we have him in our history.
Dirty Bookman. You know, that's quite interesting. We don't have him in our history.
We have him in our history in Haiti.
He's not in Jamaican history. You don't see him anywhere in Jamaican history.
Yeah.
But I teach Caribbean thought, and I need to include this guy in my next book. This Dirty Bookman.
Yeah.
And I need to do some research about this Dirty Bookman. This Dirty Bookman is quite interesting, because I was listening to CLR James earlier today. And CLR James talked about Dirty Bookman.
Yes.
Yes. And Dirty Bookman, he said,
and he was the priest, because 1 year before, he was the priest who was there, having a ceremony. The Haitian had a ceremony, and after the ceremony, that's when now they went for battle. Where I see the chat now.
Wow, this is okay.
He was very instrumental. Yeah, we believe in that.
So, and
sir?
here is that. Yes.
Right. I've read about him before. He is born in Senegambia. He was a slave in Jamaica, and he ended up in Haiti and started some leaderships over there, and then that's how they said he was a voodoo priest in Haiti, and I guess right. Yeah.
When you say he's a voodoo priest, I thought you meant he was a Catholic priest. I didn't know that you meant voodoo priest. So Dottie Bookman.
DUTTYBOUKMAN. That's the name that you would find on Google.
Oh wow!
Like Dottie Bookman, yeah.
Oh, this is quite. Listen, I'm developing a Caribbean thought journal, and I need Liam. William, I need you to as you start to think about your writing, what you're going to write about, and start writing. I want you to start writing. What you have said was quite profound. You said some powerful thing to me just now, and I'm trying to. Well, I do not have any notes. Oh, here we go, right over here. You have said something quite powerful, and I need to make a note of this to follow up for some research I need to do. And this is the second time I heard this Dottie Bookman, DUTTYBOKMAN.
Yes.
And you said he was
from BOUKMAN.
BOUK.
And you said from Senegal, from where? Gambia?
Senegambia.
Spell Senegambia.
SENEGAMBIA.
So he wasn't Indian.
No, sir.
And so,
he was born in 1791, November 7.
Oh, and he went from Senegambia to he was
Jamaica as a slave, and then he was captured and taken to Jamaica, and I think he escaped to Haiti.
Yeah, he escaped to Haiti. Yeah.
And he went to Haiti, and was a voodoo priest.
Yes, sir.
Yes, a voodoo.
So that's how one of the ways how voodoo came to Haiti is from this Dottie Bookman. Yes.
I don't think so. We have that from Africa because basically voodoo is from Africa.
Right. Yeah. So, but he was in terms of how did it get to Haiti? How did it get to Haiti?
Voodoo.
I think he escaped. I think he escaped. What did they escape again? He escaped.
But that's fine. But yeah, it came from Africa. So when the slaves came to Haiti, so you have voodoo. But why is it that Haiti is known for voodoo, but it's not in Jamaica or other Caribbean islands?
That's the point, because I studied and taught religion, and religion I studied. I was studying voodoo. But people think that voodoo is originated from Haiti. Not at all. It's from Africa.
No.
Now, when the slaves were being transported, if I can put it this way, to Haiti, they came with their religion, they practiced it, and it get to be planted in Haiti. That's how voodoo get to be in Haiti. They came with that religion from wherever they came from, in Africa, and they came with their religion. Right now, if they take all the Jamaicans and they brought them to UK, so we go over there as Christians, so we practice it, and the generations to come will be Christians. So it's just like that.
What is the dominant religion in Haiti? Is it what is it? The dominant religion?
It's Christianity. Yeah.
Christianity.
It's not voodoo. Me, as I tell you, as a Haitian, I don't know what is voodoo. I don't know anything about voodoo.
Yeah, it's just like it's as if voodoo is not a major religion or faith or practice. It's just
it is a practice. It is a practice, and the religion of Haiti is voodoo. For instance, like you say, religion of Jamaica is Christianity, something like that.
Yes.
The religion of Haiti is voodoo, but not majority Haitians don't practice voodoo.
But hold up. I don't understand. How is it that the religion of Haiti is voodoo, but majority don't practice it?
Because the point is, what it is meant to be, that's not what they use it for. Because voodoo, what it was meant to be what it was meant to be, that's not what they practice it for, based on what I hear, because voodoo was like, it's something that works with ancestral spirit. For instance, I believe like my great-grandfather died and he's going to protect me. I am in Jamaica, so I know my great-grandfather or my grandfather's spirit is with me to protect me. That's voodoo. That's a practice.
Oh, so it has nothing to do with
ancestral spirit.
It has nothing to do with hurting people.
Well, that was not what it was meant to do, but that's what they use it for today. It used to hurt people. Like in Jamaica, here people say, "Im obia me" or whatever. It's same thing in Haiti. The obia use the same thing they use, the same word. And that was not, voodoo was not meant for that. It was a belief in ancestral spirit that you know your great grandfather is there protecting you, and that's all.
So okay, so it was more so the theology and teaching, the understanding and practices and uses of voodoo has evolved over time to take on new meaning. New
meaning, yes. Yes.
So now that it is being used for something else, in terms of using it, sending it, using it to mean that people can have control over other people.
No, that's not what it was. It was not used to hurt people. It was not used for evil. Just like Rasta, people will tell you in Haiti, a Rasta is somebody who is, they say, sacred. You don't do hurt. You don't hurt people. You don't whatever. That's the meaning.
So do you have people who are Christians who practice? Is voodoo incorporated within the Christian faith and Christian theology?
No. Christians are not voodoo. Voodoo practiced by people who are voodoo. Christians are Christians.
Christians, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different religion.
Yeah.
So voodoo, the practice of voodoo, is that part of a particular religion? Voodooism or voodoo? What is voodooism?
Voodooism, that is it. Voodooism.
Okay.
But the theology is belief in ancestral spirit. It's like, I am here. For instance, in Jamaica, I see the guys do it too. I didn't know. I used to see it in Haiti. For instance, the guy go for a liquor. And when he take the liquor, you see it shows some on the left, some on the right. They do that in Haiti. Believe that before they drink, they feed the spirit. That's the meaning in Haiti.
Okay.
Before they feed the spirit. But I see they do it in Jamaica too.
But let me say, okay, if when you study word religion and when we talk about theology, theology comes from theos and we know that already, theos and ology. Okay, it's the study of God, or the study of the ultimate. It's an understanding of God. Mm-hmm. And of course, but the question I want to ask you is, as we think about, when you think about other religion, say for example Christianity and other major religions in the world, do you believe that there is or are any other faiths or religion that is influenced by voodooism? Do you think that there is any influence? Let me ask you, let me say that. In Catholicism,
mm-hmm.
Catholicism there is a theology of the afterlife, mm-hmm. as it really, the theology of death. What is your theology of death? How does the Catholic Church? The theology of death is, there is a belief in purgatory. This idea of purgatory.
Yeah.
The idea of this praying to the dead.
Yeah.
That is part of voodooism. That is part of voodoo worship. I believe in the existence and continued presence and reality, in a sense, and not necessarily physical reality, but outside of a reality, there is an understanding and a belief and acceptance that their spirits exist and they pray to these spirits. And I'm saying to you that doesn't that bear some resemblance with voodooism?
Well, why I will not say it, because when I look at religion, and even when we look at the Bible, and if we go way back to the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, we see some of the practices that happen today. For instance, what you would say in the Catholic is something that not from from Christianity. It's just the liturgy. The liturgy is different, but basically it's the same thing. In the Catholic, you say in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but we say the same thing. The liturgy is different. Sometimes we say, okay, there is something that's non-Christian in this denomination. But when you study better, because when I studied how religions used to be practiced in the Old Testament, when I look at Moses and some other guys, so there are things, if I say it as a theologian, people will want me out. So I think the liturgies are different, but what I know about voodoo is the belief that the ancestors' spirit are protecting me. For instance, when I'm going to travel, I go in the vehicle, and I say, okay, I know my great grandfather's spirit is with me, so there won't be any accident. Even if there is any, I won't hurt. Nothing will hurt me because I have a spirit protecting me. That's the belief.
Does it believe? So there is a recognition in ancestral spirit.
Sure.
But outside of ancestral, and that's but outside of ancestral spirit, is there any kind of ancestral worship in terms of worship?
Yes, the worship is different based on what I read. So they have some name, like you will say Ogu Fera, you would hear Ezili, you would hear Ezili Danto, Zimbala. So those names are names that given to Hodu priests. And those Hodu priests, when they're doing their ceremonies, they have some kind of worship they do. I cannot tell you how it manifested. So I don't have the practical. I read based on what I read from books.
That is fine, and that's quite okay. This is good. We're doing Caribbean theology. And Caribbean theology we're not studying Christianity. We're studying we're trying to develop an understanding and an appreciation of all faiths and of all theologies, or an understanding of all. We are studying Caribbean theology, so it means that we're studying every faith experience. We're trying to understand that has come to so we're looking at what has come to influence Caribbean practice and how we practice, what informs our theology, and how our theology speaks to what's going on in society. That is important. What informs it? And of course, I'm going to say to you, it is important to understand what informs something and how it has been informed. Because, and then again, I say to you, this voodoo practice, I believe that, okay, I'm studying the foundations of knowledge. I'm doing a doctorate at Georgetown, and I do a course called DLS Foundation. There's some DLS Foundation courses, Doctor of Liberal Studies Foundation 1, Foundation 2, Foundation 3, Foundation. And those courses study the development of civilizations, starting from Mesopotamia, okay? And we starting from the oral tradition, reading books like the Iliad. In this course, I will spend some time to talk about that with you guys. We're going to be looking at a few of some of the concepts, because I want us to understand when we study theologies, where do we begin? I say to you, with Caribbean theology, I will begin from where I will begin from the traditions from which our theology comes from. The development of, okay, we have, as I said to you again, keep saying we are part of the Americas, the New World, which is part of the Western civilization. The Caribbean, we would say, is an invention. So we have to study that. But when you study Kemetic, have you heard about Kemetic spirituality?
No.
Okay, all right. When you start, I wrote something about Kemet. Kemetic spirit or Kemetic, it comes from out of Egyptology. And Kemetic spirituality speaks about it promotes the spirit, the life, a recognition of the human, of the individual. But the practices of Kemet and a lot of Egyptian, say for example, okay, where am I going with this? Europeans have traveled the world from the beginning of Europeans and peoples and Greeks and the Romans. They all traveled the world, and Africa has been penetrated and invaded and borrowed from.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you study religion and you look at how religions have evolved, you see how religions, there are some similarities in their practices. And we talk about a lot of philosophies, Western philosophies have been influenced by African philosophy. In fact, there's been a lot of plagiarism. Some of these guys, some of these inventors, they would go to these African countries, Egypt and Africa and so on, and they would take over their cultures and incorporate it within and develop new West. Say, for example, I said Pythagoras' theorem came out of an African ideology.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you read C.L.R. James said that the Africans that they brought, that came from Africa, they must have been some of the best Africans. They were very intelligent and they were of fine physique, because the Middle Passage was terrible. The Middle Passage was brutal. And to survive the Middle Passage, and then within a few years, these slaves from Africa were able to understand Western techniques of production.
Mm-hmm.
They were working the sugar plantation, and they quickly learned the techniques of production and Western culture. Quickly learned it, okay, and started, so that by 1804, you tell me they got independence by 1804?
Yeah.
And start running a country? So C.L.R. James pointed to that, saying that so many of these people many of them were part of the tribal war, the triangular trade, when it existed, the triangular trade that existed that started in the 1600s and the 1700s. When you look at when the slave for gun trade, where they would go to Africa, they would get the slaves from Africa. Where they get the Africans from, they came, okay, it was part of the exchange, the deal. The other African tribe will go on to other African tribes.
Yeah.
Steal their best people, of course, because the Europeans, they wanted the best and the fittest and the brightest, okay, and they would capture the princes and the queens and the warrior men and the generals and the sons of the princes who would go out to fight. Those are the people that they captured and sent back to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So yes, they were intelligent, and because how quickly these Africans that came to the New World, how quickly they adapted and were able, and not all, but the thing is, how they came to the New World. They were divided up and mixed up, and they were strategically placed in such a way where they couldn't come together. So the experience of the slave was one of division, one of disunity. They were organized in such a way where they were divided up, where they couldn't have a sense of their language and their tongue and their culture. The plan was for them to lose a sense of the individual, to lose a sense of their humanity. And so the fact that they were able to come through the Middle Passage, they were divided up in the ways that they were divided, but still kept their culture, but still were able to adapt. Say, for example, I say to you, the way how people see voodoo culture. We talk about, and the fact that the Africans came from Africa to Haiti and still kept their voodoo. How is it that this ancestral practice of voodoo flourished in Haiti, but it didn't flourish in other parts of the Caribbean? What happened in Haiti? Well, maybe because it was because of how quickly the Haitians got their independence. Their independence was in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. You got your independence so quickly, and it wasn't just an independence; it was a revolution that led. You took it. I said, maybe Haiti is being punished. I don't know, but anyway, the thing is the fact that you
punished,
yes. But why? But many people don't accept voodoo or as part of as they see it as dark arts. They see it as suspicious.
Yes.
Do you believe that's part of colonialism? Why even in Haiti, Haitians Haitians look down on people who practice voodoo. Do you think that is part of colonization? The way how the Haitians have been colonized, to think that's still part of the psyche, to look down, or part of this world of looking down on voodoo and that kind of African, or way how people see anything African not good, but the thing is ancestral worship, or the worshiping and the way in which we think of the dead. People worship, this ancestor worshiping the dead. That's part of many faiths walk today, but it is seen different. The way in which people view voodoo is different from how they view some other religious. Why is that?
Why even in Haiti, Haitians look down on voodoo? For instance, I say I don't know the practices. I have never been to a voodoo priest or a voodoo setting. I don't know how it looks like, but I can, based on social media right now, everything can be seen. So I think the practices, I will come back to the same thing I said, because I think when Dirty Bookman and those guys, they did that ceremony for our independence, I think it meant something different to what it means today.
Yeah.
Then I think the practices, because we see voodoo in Haiti as something that we use to hurt people, but as good Samaritans, we should not hurt each other. We should not, hurt any other. So, for instance, protect you, you protect me. But Asians use it for other Asians, to hurt other Asians. Now it's like, kind of mystic and evil. That's how we see it. We see it as evil because we use it to endanger other people.
Mm. Yeah, many people some people, like a lot of people see it as evil.
That's what.
But it's not.
Yes,
it's not okay.
And some people even saying it is because of voodoo. Haiti is where it is today. It's the practices of voodoo that is evil, and that's what is happening to Haiti. Is the cause of that.
I've heard that, but there is bad. It's everywhere. There are many regions that people are doing correlation of value. That's a premature conclusion.
But it doesn't matter. Haiti is a country like any other country.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question, because that's quite important. You talk about the issue of voodoo, but I say to people, voodoo comes from Africa.
Yes.
We have, if you read what Frantz Fanon says, the Negro is not any more than the white man.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we have oftentimes heard during colonization, the period of colonization, anything that the African was always looked down upon. The African was always seen as not having religion. The African was always seen as being devilish. The African was always, so anything that comes from Africa. So, and if And if the black man that brings his religion and bring his culture and bring his language, you see, say for example, so voodoo, so but even the way we see religion, the understanding of religion. So African religion and African practices and philosophies or any religious ideology or any understanding of God that comes from Africa there is always this also into the new world. There's always this idea that is devilish, nothing black, no good.
Yep, that is true. And recently I did the critical study of the book of Acts. And
yes.
Egypt is the center of every biblical civilization, or if you want to put it this way. The Ethiopian eunuch, after we see him in Acts early, we don't see him. So basically, we don't know. The Bible took us to Europe and Paul missionary journeys to the Europe, to the world empire on their home, but they have not said anything about Africa. But all the guys we have, they are from Africa. What about the gospel spread in Africa? Why the book of Acts just tell us about Europe? Everything. The whole Roman Empire. Let me call about the Roman Empire. But what about Africa? So, I ask question about that. Is the same thing you're saying here? Africa cannot produce anything good. So why the Bible doesn't, give us the development the same way we have it for the European come to us now? Because it's from slavery we inherit Christianity. So even though we say slavery was not good, but it has brought us Christianity. So
okay, sorry, I'm going to stop. Just remember, please remember earlier I said to you, you talk about the Bible doesn't mention, and the book of Acts is quite powerful. Make a note of that. Where is Africa? Or the Bible is a book. When you think about religion and when you think about cultures, you cannot distinguish the Bible outside of any greater historical context that occurred in history.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot distinguish it. The Bible cannot be seen outside of that. And I tell you, and I'm sure we're going to have some time. I'm going to show you, we're going to have some time to get into that. And that's part of my study. I'm studying power, privilege, position, and status. I'm studying that now. This is part of my doctoral studies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quite powerful when you study traditions from the first tradition to now. You see, I said to you, Kant said that history is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstances. Human nature. The Bible is seen as a theological piece of work, of record, is seen as the inspired word of God.
Yes.
It is seen as the inspired workers of God. But it is as if the inspiration
was just for the Roman Empire.
Was just because, when you look at how the Bible is written glowingly about a certain group of people. A certain group. Even in fact, you look at the Jews and the Hebrew people, they don't have the New Testament. Why? Because the New Testament does not speak to the Hebrew people, to their traditions, their history, their hope. So they cherry pick or they take for them as normative and understanding a theological understanding that speaks to their tradition, their hopes and their circumstances.
Yep.
The Christian Bible, the New Testament, doesn't speak to their traditions, their value, and their hopes and the circumstances. It doesn't speak to. So, of course, the Gentiles and the other religion at the time, the Romans, and so they wanted they weren't accepted And so they were looking for acceptance, and of here we come at Jesus, or something about scripture that talks about. So in a sense, and I say to people that we're going to talk about that in Caribbean theology. The Bible that we have today, that is why you talk about Mutabaruka, you talk about the Rastafarianism,
Yes.
talk about liberation theology. There was a problem. In Black liberation theology had a problem accepting the Bible, and many people think, and the reason for that is because it doesn't speak to the experiences of the people of the Caribbean people, of the Black man and what they go through. It was written in that speaks to a particular people's culture and tradition, and quite so, and nothing is wrong with that, because. But what happens is when you start to privilege something, when you start to privilege or make something exceptional, and look down on other people and to impose one values on the other based on a particular tradition, which then comes out of ethnocentrism, Occidentalism, and Orientalism.
Orientalism, yes.
Our theology, our borrowed theology cannot be a theology that is ethnocentric. One based on subjectivism that deposes another understanding and experiences of the divine. Because I believe that God is than that which nothing greater can be conceived of.
But basically, that's what is done to us. They bought us the Bible and they give us that kind of impression of God. And that kind of supremacy, there is absolute submission, But basically, most of the things we see in the Bible, I'm studying the New Testament, and look, it's most about, you have to look at the geographical context. You see a lot of culture, the culture, the geographical context, the setting, the time, the places where Jesus was and for event. And when you look at it, this culture has a lot to see, the way the people live then and now. So basically, Jesus is the same one, who said to the disciples, what do you have to give the people to eat? Let them sit on the green grass. You understand? So basically, the way the Bible was brought to us give us that kind of pre-understanding of the Bible that should not be. So that's why now having a Caribbean theology that we develop for ourselves is very important.
Yes.
I agree with you. It's very important because that idea of God is, that submission, absolute submission. Otherwise, no, that's not it. Jesus say, looking at the Good Samaritans. For instance, the Samaritans, he was seen as a Samaritan. Anything that bad happened should be him. He's not a Jew. He's a thief. He should be somebody, because the Good Samaritan now, when he walk, if you look at the text, possibly he walk with all his tool, because he knows they might beat him on the way. They might steal something and say he's the one who did it. So basically, you see some kind of interaction, and Jesus is saying to you, listen, no, that Samaritan that you say is a Haitian. For instance, when I went in the embassy and that white guy look at me and say, Haitian, what are you doing in Jamaica? Basically, you are labeled. And for me, I feel like I'm a Samaritan. For instance, anything happen, if they come 10 person here, the Haitian is the one they're going to choose, because they know you are prone to anything. You can do anything. So when I see a kind of, downgrade, that kind of, belittle, I see that kind of, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says we are equal in the sight of God, and God is for the rich and for the poor, and as brothers, then that's what so basically, this is the idea that we should bring in the Caribbean. For instance, you tell the young Jamaican, listen, no, why you beat your brother? Why you kill him? But he's your brother, so why don't you eat with him? We look the same. And what basically shows a people is their culture, their way we speak. So it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot align with Jamaican because I don't speak like you. So basically Jamaicans, once you are in one place, if 100 Jamaicans are in one place, you know they are Jamaicans. If I meet the Haitians, so that's what unites us. That's what says we are one, we come from the same place. But unless we bring that idea to them to say, hey, listen, no, that's what God wants. God wants us to be brother's keeper. Not only say it, but let it embedded, let it be taught, let it be accepted among us as Caribbean people. I read that petition, and every day I say, but where are the Haitians? You should not be the one to bring that petition forward. I have read this petition how many times, and some of it.
Yeah. Yes. By the way, I have one thing I wanted to say that in Jamaica there is obia, and I wanted and I'm wondering if and that came from Africa. Obia came to Jamaica. Obia came from Africa, and I wanted to find out probably obia was one of the religions that was preserved in Jamaica. The one that how it was preserved, and how different is obia from voodoo. Do you know?
No, I think the idea I see about obia here in Jamaica is the same as the voodoo. Like, for instance, about something to hurt somebody or to frighten somebody, can tell you, I'm going to obia you. You understand?
Yes. But it was never about hurting obia. It was never about
when some people, for instance, I tell people, for instance, a guy came yesterday, and as he parked the vehicle in the yard, and the tire blow, for him is somebody obia him. People work against him. There are people who have that mentality. And if people working against me, so be it. That's their business, not my business. So we have that thing, if I drive the vehicle, and as I drove, on the road, as I drive in it, and the tire blow, is somebody who obia me, is somebody does something. That again is negativity.
So I'm going to make a pronouncement here. Caribbean theology, and that is why Caribbean thought is important, but in Caribbean theology. Caribbean, if you look at, so I said to you, the Caribbean people, well, some Caribbean people's understanding of God. The understanding of God, or our theology, and our and how that theology affects our attitudes, our behaviors, our policies.
Yeah, sure.
It's important. It comes from a Eurocentric understanding, in a sense. But the point I want to make is, when you think about obia, when you think about voodoo, when you think about Pentecostalism, or African or Rastafarianism, or African religious movements, and those religions that originates from out of the Black experience, or the West Indian experience, or is heavily influenced by African experience and African ideologies and practices. You find that is looked down upon in terms of so when you talk Africa, those movements are seen as fringe. It's part of the periphery in terms of theological thinking and experience. And it's not seen as normative. It's, in a sense, it's kind of tabooed. It's tabooed. And I say to you, where does that come from? So the way in which the Caribbean people look down upon their own Caribbean people who are said to be, and Western people who are heavily influenced from an African tradition outside of anything European. And and there's many Caribbean people still have a sense, some have a little, maybe have 1%, 2% European, but majority are of African descent, you find that they look down upon anything African in terms of their theologies, their understanding, their philosophy. It's as if it's seen as fringe. Why is that the case? Why do you think so? And we are thinking, and okay, enough. Why do you think so? Why is it that in Caribbean, many Caribbean people look down on their philosophies and ideologies and theologies that is influenced by African or influenced by themselves, anything that is original to African, to their experiences, they themselves look down upon. The world doesn't accept it, and they themselves don't accept it. Why?
Yes, because we are still enslaved. Bob Marley put it the right way: you emancipate yourself from mental slavery. So, we are still enslaved. We are still enslaved somehow. Why should a Caribbean person, should buy cream and bleach out to become white? It's some kind of acceptance. To want to ally with the white and say, okay, the way we are not good. So, and the white will leave where they are to come to the Caribbean and lay down in the sea because they want to get some color. So basically, we see ourselves as not good. So it's mental slave. We are mentally enslaved, and that's what I'm saying to you. For Haiti to rise from where Haiti is right now, Haitians have to come together and say, listen, Haiti is not good. They will kill some, but they cannot kill all. We have to rise and get together to rebuild the country. If we sit down and wait for our partners, for the international to come to Jamaica right now to have what you call a consensus, is waste of time, waste of money. I am glad they come to Jamaica, though they're not hearing some gunshots all over Bodo for few days. So that was good for them. But that will not bring any result. Trust me.
Well, I'm going to tell you. So, you talk about the problem of this unity. This unity, in other words, colonization and the Europeans achieve that. When you see what's going on in what's going on in Haiti and the disunity that they're having, the colonizers have achieved their goal.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
They have achieved their goal. This unity is a strategy. You want, first of all, when you think about the human race and you think about the world, the world is also within is within a competitive. We live in a competitive world.
Sure.
We live in a competitive world. So, of course, why should Haiti succeed? Who would another country? And probably other Caribbean countries, or maybe I believe that there are fears about Cuba. There are fears about Haiti. Haiti also got independence. They fought for their freedom and their independence. These are not okay, then there's an embargo, and they are struggling. Yeah. You find those countries that fight for their independence and freedom and so on, they are struggling, and the colonizers made it so. Haiti, so that they made it. No, you talk about what does even within this theology. It is the theology. It is the understanding of God that's going to rescue the people. That's supposed to bring hope and unity. Yes. So now the question is, where is the Caribbean? Where is the Caribbean church? Where is Caribbean theology? The Caribbean, where are Caribbean thinkers? Where are they in terms of helping to deal with the issue of what's going on in the injustices of the problem of disunity and also the problem of democracy in Haiti? That is where liberation theologians, that is where Black activists, that is where Caribbean theologians should help to bring. It should speak to the hope of Caribbean people and the Haitians. I say to you that, of course, but that's not going to happen because already in our theology, we look down on our own theology. We look down and we won't accept our own theology So therefore, built into the system and built into our psyche, it is this inability to come together. That is part of the strategy. Okay, it was never the strategy for the Africans to outduel their former masters. You see what's going on in Haiti and Russia today? In Russia and Ukraine today. Ukraine is not supposed to surpass Russia. Poland is not to surpass Russia. Kazakhstan and the other former USSR countries or Soviet, they are not supposed to surpass Mother Russia.
No.
Okay. Yes, the other countries got the independence and the collapse of the wall, but the thing is, Russia was still in the eye. That was just a symbolic significance that signified anything.
Because when it was USSR, so Russia was in control.
Yeah, right, and that's what's going on. Russia. So when Russia got independent, when all those countries broke up, Russia was still supposed to be the dominant. What's going on today in the 21st century?
Yeah,
Russia is one of the poorest countries in the world. One of the poorest developed countries in the world.
Russia.
Okay. Russia is one of the poorest developed countries in the world. They are still developed, post-industrial, but they're one of the poorest. Yeah. Compared to the other countries in the region. If you look at the gross domestic product of the other countries in the region in Eastern Europe, okay, or the former USSR countries, Russia is ranked second. The only country is what? Ukraine. They only ranked higher than Ukraine and one other country, but all the others are surpassed. Now,
okay.
But they are afraid of taking on. So what Russia did? Russia decided to take on a weaker country first. Let's take on Ukraine first. So we're going to take on. So what? Okay, in terms of their GDP and so on, they are not as. They don't have their GDP. So now, if they take over Ukraine, it will add to Russia's GDP. So okay, it will add to their GDP. But and Ukraine was growing. Ukraine had the potential to be one of the most dominant countries in the region over the next 10 years. Okay, and so that's a problem for Russia. So of course, so they're going to war. That's what they do that's what they use. That's a strategy. They're going to war. So I said to you, look what's going on in Haiti today. Look what's going on in Haiti. Of course, no one is going to war, but people they find different ways. Of penetrating Haiti. But of course, Haiti, there is disunity in Haiti. That's one of the problems. So the people can't come together. But we have a responsibility as theologians to preach, to bring people together. Our theology should speaks to the. So the question is now in Caribbean theology, when we study Caribbean theology, we're supposed to find a way to speak to the hurt of people. Caribbean theology, we are supposed to serve the world today to solve tomorrow's strategies, in a sense. We're supposed to speak to the plight of man.
Yes.
So how is our theology speaking to what's going on? So that's the question. But let me wrap this up by saying this. This is the petition. This is the petition. It speaks, and you've read it before. It speaks to, and it talks about some of the problem, leadership of the party, Haitian Tech Kill Party and its allies. Haitian democracy has been systematically dismantled. Shockingly, not a single elected office as mandated by the Constitution has been filled. Gangs, some of which are linked to the government, now control more than half of the country. Corruption and mismanagement have siphoned off substantial funds from public services and resulting in an alarming inflation rate of over 15% annually. Tragically, 4.7 million Haitian citizens face acute hunger, so on and so forth. So we have a responsibility to deal with that, not just to send aid. People have a tendency to think that by sending aid, that will help. By sending aid, you want to turn a society into a dependent capitalist welfare society constantly, so that you are not competitive enough. It is not in the best interest of the world for Haiti to rise. Okay. Whose interest? The Haitians.
The Haitians, yeah. Yeah.
So the Haitians, at the same time, that's why I said, so this petition speaks to the fact that the Haitians have to, yes, they have to come together, but first they have to take back their country, take back their governance. Okay. So once again, the Haitian people are counting on us to champion their freedom. We implore you on behalf of all Caribbean people to stand up for democracy in Haiti by refusing to participate in any initiative that would support Haiti's illegal de facto government, like what's going on in Jamaica today, where they are having that guy. Okay, where they have that Ariel, I'm going to say that guy Ariel, proposing.
And the guys, the problem in Haiti too, the guys become so wicked in quest for power. That's why young people like me, the way I'm speaking to you now, if I'm in Haiti, I will not, even where I am now, you know, I don't really speak politics openly because they are wicked. And to retain power and to make money, they can do anything. That's why I say Haiti, the young minds, they have left Haiti or they are already been killed. So like me, I am speaking to you now, but I won't go on Facebook do that. You won't see me on Facebook saying anything. I just sit down and watch, because the next thing you just see you walk down the street and you were killed. You don't know who killed you. So
also, okay, fine. So there are fears.
Yeah, there are fears, of course. Yeah. There are fears, yeah. I have my Facebook page. You won't see I post anything political, not saying anything, just leave it there, because they are so wicked, you know, in the quest for power. They can do anything. That's the mindset. And they will kill you if they can kill the president in his womb, sleeping. And so what else? Nothing is impossible.
But the question, but our theology, if we have a Christian theology, a theology that is Christian, or a theology, we say that the Caribbean is predominantly Christian, with we have some indigenous religions and experience some faith, some indigenous faith, or some that we brought from Africa, which we look down upon. But there are some people that is there hope? Do we look to a hope, a future? But I say to you, when you study our theology, does it not involve a kind of an attitude of liberation that may also require some kind of martyrdom? That may also, Jesus went as far as to die on the cross. He went as far as he was unpopular, in a sense. He did and said unpopular things, even to the point of death, where, he put himself in danger, in harm's way.
Yes.
So shouldn't that inform our drive, our social action, our theology, and our attitude and our message to men to bring about hope and change and so on? Shouldn't that inform it as well?
I agree with you 100%. In fact, I was recently looking at Acts chapter 1, verse 8. It says witness. Witness should be in every ways. Witness in the political order as well. Witness in the social affairs. Witness in the economical affair. Witness in the entrepreneurial affair. When you are a witness, not in a spiritual aspect alone, but all we do, we just spiritualize it and say witness for God brings souls to the kingdom. That almost have nothing to do with the kingdom. It has to do with us while we are here. We witness. I know this thing, but I have my wife and one small 2-year-old son. So if they kill me for Haiti, you just sometimes it's, you almost don't have words, but we pray and we hope. But the other day I tell those guys, if there is a revolution now, I think I will tell my wife I'm going to Haiti. Maybe she would not want me to go, but I would go and say, okay, Haiti need to be free, because what is happening when I am eating, it hurts me. When I get good food on my table, I have money on my account, it hurts my heart to know that there are my brothers and sisters over there who cannot get that food I get. Even I eat, I am not happy, because knowing that my brothers and sisters, they too are God's children. So that hurts me to the core. And you can see how I speak with passion. So it hurts me to the core, but you just pray and hope.
Yes.
But the petition, though, I will sign it. I will sign it because if you agree to jeopardize yourself as a non-Asian national or origin from
Yes.
Asian origin, so much more I have to do it. Yeah.
I did a paper and it's called The Reflections on Life and Society by a Black academic, The Foundations of Knowledge and Hegemony of Faith, demystifying the sacred and profanity, and that shouldn't be profanity, the sacred and profane of cultures that purport standards which discriminates. Again, the foundations of knowledge and hegemony of faith. When you study Caribbean theology, I say to you, you have to study the foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith, because it will help to demystify the sacred and profane of cultures that purport or utilize and promote standards which ultimately discriminates. This is powerful. Again, we study foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith. And when we do that, it helps us to do what? To demystify the sacred and profane of cultures. So the abstract is, do the poems of Homer. So one of the things we do when we study this, the foundations of knowledge and hegemony of faith, in order to get to where we are going, the question is, do the poems of Homer and Hesiod's theogony and the biblical stories provide a basis to begin to understand the problem and consequences of the human dynamics in the development of human society? Again, do the poems of, when we talk about looking, because I say to you, the foundations of knowledge and the hegemony of faith, when we start to look at that, it helps us to demystify. So then, one of the places we will begin is looking at the poems of Homer and Hesiod's theogony, and of course, the biblical stories. And we ask the question, when we look at them, do they provide a basis to begin to understand the problem and consequences of human dynamics? When we talk about human dynamics, the relationship between humans, okay, and the uniqueness of that, the way in, okay, we talk about class relations, racial relations, socioeconomic relations, the political economy of various societies. Okay, that's what we're talking about, and faith and so on. The dynamics in the development of human society. We think about the dynamics. Why is certain societies how they are? In terms of how does that society relate? When we look at the dynamics of the relationship in terms of the development of society, then we begin to see the problems, then we begin to start from the beginning. And so I said to you, I am excited about this experience. What is Caribbean theology? Caribbean theology exists to address the spiritual, social, and economic challenges faced by the Caribbean people. Again, what is Caribbean theology? Caribbean theology seeks to address the spiritual, social, and economic challenges faced by the Caribbean people. It recognizes the region's history of colonization, slavery, and ongoing socioeconomic disparities, and seeks to offer a theological response that speaks to the lived experiences of Caribbean people, Now, some of the key themes and perspectives within Caribbean theology include contextualization. The first thing is contextualization. When we talk about contextualization, what we're talking about, Caribbean theology emphasizes the importance of engaging with the specific cultural, historical, and social realities of the Caribbean context. It seeks to bridge the gap between theology and the everyday experiences of Caribbean people. That includes Haitians. What is the everyday experiences of Caribbean people? And how does our theology speaks to that? It helps to bridge that gap, the gap that we just spent talking about at length. And secondly, Caribbean theology includes not just the contextualization, but also liberation theology. And when we talk about, and I mentioned that earlier, when we talk about liberation theology, what are we talking about? Liberation theology, talk about it's influenced by the broader liberation theology movement. Caribbean theology places a particular emphasis, though, on the liberation and empowerment of the marginalized and oppressed. That's what, okay? Caribbean theology, it places a particular emphasis on the liberation and empowerment of the marginalized and oppressed. It highlights the need for social justice, equality, and the dismantling of oppressive structures in Caribbean society. You hear that? I'm going to say it highlights the need for social justice, equality, and the dismantling of oppressive structures in Caribbean society. So we talk about the PHTK and Ariel. We talk about international penetration. The word penetration is important. I talk about that in Caribbean thought. The word penetration is important because your ability to penetrate characterizes your power level and your power dynamic. Okay, all right, even if you look at the abuse and rapists and so on, it's always an issue of power. The penetrating is important. Who is penetrating and who is not penetrating? That's why the issue of they talk about the issue of sexuality becomes important because the issue of penetration is an issue. It affects how people view the man. The man was always viewed as dominant. We talk about in Caribbean cultures, the man is masculine. The man is dominant. So now that he's being penetrated through this, it changes the idea of the sexual dynamic position of man to know where he is supposed to be impenetrable, but now he's been penetrated. And that's a problem when you understand the tradition within which the Bible was written. The Bible was written within a masculine dominant culture that has no room that sexualizes the man where he is being penetrated. Okay, so therefore it then affects the power dynamic at play. So the man now becomes weak. When the man, when we think about the man, even the man, in fact, the way we think of God within Christian theology and within most theology in the world today, in almost all theology, the world was developed within a masculine. When you think about the foundations of society, the foundations of the world, it started, there was this masculine. When you read Homer and Hesiod, and there is this masculinity. So therefore now to see the man as being penetrated is a problem. So we talk about liberation theology now moves away from that, because in order to arrive at social justice, then we have to move away from the way in which we look at the scripture, the way in which we look at the dynamics of all things. In other words, we now have to talk about it being in inclusive language. When we talk about social justice, how we talk about liberation theology, we talk about Caribbean theology, bridging the gap between the social and the history. That's the problem, that's the challenge we face in Caribbean, in developing a Caribbean theology, which is in where our theology is informed by the Judeo-Christian theology, which is informed by a kind of European theology that puts down the experience of African, the experience of the West Indies. Okay, so therefore, how does it speak? So there is always that challenge, the way how we understand and the way how we view the society in this masculine trope. We talk about the Caribbean being a masculine society. Okay, but now we talk about the former colonial masters. There is now this. If you look at in Europe today, you look at in America today, the Me Too movement and what is happening on television and what is going on in the world, there is this drive to see the woman as not as being a weaker vessel. Now you look at TV, the women are the main characters. The women are the main. That's part of liberation. That's part of the change. Where now you're changing the dynamics. You're changing the dynamics of the society, and the way you do that is through socialization. And so now you're looking at a lot of film and a lot of the conversations that people have. You're trying to be inclusive. We talk about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism and liberation theology is part of that Pan-African movement. You're trying to incorporate you're also trying to change the language. Okay, you're trying to change things. You're trying okay, say for example, people talk about Creole. People look down on Creole. You have to speak standard English. You have to speak standard French. Your inability to speak standard English and your inability to speak standard French means then you are less than. Even within the Caribbean, how we view people, how we speak and how we think and how we accept. The acceptance of the normative. What is normative? What is accepted is what is standard. And what is the standard is not what is Caribbean. It's not what comes from the Caribbean man. What comes from him is even himself, he looks down on his language. He looks down on his experiences. Okay. And that is why people like Louise Bennett, she deliberately, she promoted African language and the dialect. We look at V.S. Naipaul and Homi Baba, and they promoted African experiences as part. They put it in front and center because that was the violence of their liberation theology. Okay, that was the violence with which. Okay, so sometimes I don't care if I make an error when I write my English, when I write my paper. I don't care. It's part of my violence. It's part of my liberation theology. When I produce a theology that does not, it's part of my liberation, it's part of the Caribbean experience, it's part of the change that we're trying to recapture the Caribbean man. We're trying to recapture what Fanon talked about, Frantz Fanon and the psychoanalytic theory. He said the Negro is not any more than the black man, any more than the white man, in a sense. The psychoanalytic theory, you're trying to, we talk about an empowerment of the self, an empowered self. So you talk about inclusive language. So I said to you, Jamaica Theological Seminary says, what does Jamaica Theological Seminary has for its Jamaica Theological Seminary has as its motto? That I may know him and that I may make him known. Already the understanding of that, when you see that motto, it's the statement speak volume. It speaks to the volume that the school promotes this masculine identity of God. It promotes this masculine understanding of God. It promotes what a kind of understanding that eschews the very own experiences of the people of what of your own experience, in a sense. But anyway, so now, but in the Caribbean, they still have theologies and ideologies and laws that they have inherited from their forefathers, from their not forefathers, I apologize, from their former masters, from the former colonial masters, from the former people who have indoctrinated them. They still inherit, okay? While they in many countries, say for example, our theology on marijuana, our theology on sexuality, our theology on casino gambling. Our theology affects our economic practices and our family practices, so which doesn't come from anything African, it comes from European, and it affects us to the point where it keeps us. Say, for example, while other countries have casino gambling, the Caribbean can have casino gambling, but they won't because of the theology. But that is good. That is great. That is good that they don't have casino gambling. And I'm happy that they have a theology that tells them that they cannot have casino gambling, where the church holds them at ransom. That's according to that's the argument. Playing the devil's advocate here. That's what people say. Because European countries and the Americas, now their theology does not tell them that they can't have casino gambling. Casino gambling has nothing to do with their faith with God. there are some churches that have experience who believe that. So therefore they will gamble, okay? Or that has nothing to do with their faith. While there are some people, say for example, there are some people who say, well, do you have money on the stock exchange? Okay, the stock exchange is the same thing as gambling. Okay, it's the same thing as gambling. People don't realize when you put money on a stock, you are betting that it will win or lose. You are making a bet. You're placing a bet on the value, okay, because it has no value. You're hoping, you're believing, you're praying that it will be the value that people bet on it to be, okay? And it may win or it may not win, but that's based on a value, a hope, a reputational value. When you put a bet on a horse and the horse, let's put a bet on that horse because it has some reputational value. It's the same. So our theology is based on a perspective that is influenced by certain positions. Now, so the third thing is Afro-Caribbean spirituality. That's what they're talking about. Afro-Caribbean. We're talking about Afro-Caribbean. That's the third thing. Caribbean theology recognizes and incorporates the rich spiritual traditions of the Afro-Caribbean population, including elements of African religions, Christianity, and syncretic practices. Synchronized, amalgamation of faith, where talk about some faith experiences where there's a mashup. We'll talk about that later on. It acknowledges the spiritual resilience and creative expressions of faith within the Caribbean context. Okay, and many people eschew that, but in Caribbean theology, in this class, we will look at Afro-Caribbean spirituality. And finally, the fourth one is identity and cultural reclamation. Caribbean theology encourages the affirmation and reclamation of Caribbean cultural identity. Notice the word, it affirms it, but reclaim our identity. Now, by the way, I should ask you, in Haiti, you're from Haiti. When did the French first discover Haiti? When did they land on Haiti? Sorry, it wasn't the French, it was Christopher Columbus, yes?
Oh yes, Christopher Columbus. That was, I will tell you, 1492.
Okay, 1492. Yeah, so 1492, and then by 1494 they were in Jamaica.
Yeah, 1492.
Okay, so 1492 is Haiti, and then by 1494 when he came back, he occupied Jamaica afterwards. So 1492. Now in 1492 when they came, there were Indians, yes?
Yes, Indians, yes.
What were the Indians? What are their names? Were the Arawakans, the Tainos?
Yeah, Tainos.
The Taino people were there, just like Jamaica. The Tainos were there. The Tainos were also in the Caribbean. Now, what happened to the Tainos?
Well, this species disappeared.
They disappeared.
Yeah.
How do we know that they disappeared? How do we know that they disappeared?
We have not seen any germs from them because, for instance, a place like Guyana, right now you still have some people who are not civilized, still living in the bush. They are part of the people who were in the Caribbean. Haiti had them too, but when they came for slavery, and they killed all of them.
But
because remember these people, they were not civilized though. Remember that, yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. Caribbean thought. You said civilized. They weren't civilized.
Because when I say civilized, because of the time, remember at that time it was they build little things.
No. Hold on. No, hold up. I'm not going to use that word. They were civilized. They weren't civilized in the Western way. When people make a determination about civilization, whether or not somebody was civilized, it is an ethnocentric term to say that somebody was primitive, or to say when they say that somebody is primitive, or when people from one culture or historical perspective say about another, it's because there's a limited understanding of the way how we were taught. Don't worry, I used to think the same thing. Don't worry about that. I used to think the same way, but I've changed. They were civilized, but they were not civilized in the European or Anglo-Saxon way. They were not civilized in the way that the other cultures and peoples were civilized. They were civilized and sophisticated in their own way. But so to say that they weren't civilized is to be ethnocentric, is making a valid judgment about
agree. Well, what we read from books, and all we have been impacted with now is the Anglo-Saxon civilization or the Western civilization. So we read from what used to take place then. So for me, based on how we live today, I could say they were not civilized, but that's not the right thing. I agree with you.
When Columbus came to the Caribbean, he saw the Taino people in the West Indies. Yes. And he saw some Taino, the Indians, and when the Americas, they were Indians in the New World. Mm-hmm. And he said they came to Christianize the people. I'm sorry, they also came to the New World, but they came to Christianize, not the African, they came to Christianize the people here, the people in the West Indies, the Indians, the Taino people, and so on, to bring religion. So he came. They came with an understanding that the people in the Caribbean, they never had any religion. They had no religion. The same thing that they said. So when you talk about conquest, the issue of conquest and all of that, it was said that they were evangelizing the world and so on, but it was more about gold and money. But they said that they were going to Christianize. In other words, so there was this issue of privilege. We're going to come to Christianize the world. So, in other words, they never had any religion. And of course, we talk about missions. How is mission important in Caribbean theology? But when we study Caribbean theology, we're not making any valid judgment about any religion or any theological perspective. There is no perspective in Caribbean theology that takes preeminence over any other.
Yes.
Okay, in this class, we do not make any determination as if any one faith or religion is better than the other. So that's why I'm happy I'm teaching this course, okay, because I'm a radical. I am happy about this course. As much as I subscribe to the Judeo-Christian faith, I pray to Jesus, yes, and I read the scripture and Bible and I practice it. That is my faith. I choose that faith. I choose that particular faith experience. And I use that as a lens to develop, to commune with God, to commune with the divine. Faith, my theology of God is, okay, it was helped to build, but that doesn't mean that I do not find normative any other faith, okay? So that's important. But the point I'm making is, you find that they came to the Caribbean with saying that to bring Christianity, but they kill out a whole set of people.
Yes.
Christopher Columbus. No, I do not believe that. That does not make any logical reason. You cannot come in the name of God and in the name of Christ and kill off a whole set of people.
That's the problem here. That's the problem here, in the name of Christ. And Christ said we should not kill anyone in his name. He died for everyone.
Okay, fine. And when how did slavery start? Who brought the slaves to Haiti and the Caribbean?
Well, the same in the Caribbean, so we would say the colonial masters, those who came. Christopher Columbus came, survey the place, and he go back to the Queen. What was the name again? When did
the French defeat the Spanish? In the 1650s? Yes,
I think so. I don't really remember the exact.
In the 1650s. So then when did the French come to Spain? To Haiti, to defeat Haiti? It was in the 1650s. So Spain, and then and they have the sugar plantation in Haiti. Yes.
Yes, sure.
So it wasn't until, because the triangular trade didn't start until the 1600s, 16 to the 1700s.
Okay.
That's when the slaves came to that's when slavery officially started. So the question is, where did the slaves, the people who were in Haiti at the time, before slavery officially started, what happened to them? So I'm saying to you, Christopher Columbus could not have killed off all of the slaves, because he came in the name of God to say, to Christianize. They didn't find gold, but they still lived amongst the people that were there. A small group of Europeans settled there and worked with there, and then they worked the Indians, the Taino people. Some of them we heard commit suicide, but some of them fled to the mountains.
Yeah.
Many of them fled to the mountains. Now the question is, were there some? So the question is, where is the Arawakan tribe or the Taino people? But I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, because this is very important. Because the Urban Indian Heritage Society is saying that in Haiti and in Jamaica, there was an Indian heritage. Some Taino people remained there. The books, and you notice how the history, there is no document. It is as if it was deliberate. The documentary evidence about all we're hearing that they disappeared. That cannot be true. How did they disappear? They committed genocide, or they were wiped out by Christopher Columbus. But there is no evidence that said where Christopher Columbus admit to wiping out the slaves. I mean, sorry, the Tainos. He did not admit to doing that.
But what we know in Haiti, when they came, and the Christopher Columbus, he came, survey, went back to the Queen, who sent him, I think the Queen Elizabeth, I can't remember the name, who sent him, and he went back. Now, yes, because they came, that she was Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, Isabel.
Elizabeth, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So when he went back, and now they come back and they say, okay, we find some pretty place somewhere, we're going to discover. He could not discover because they were already existed. So you don't discover what exists already. So they came and took by force. But what we know in Haiti is that the condition, the work, the pressure, some of them committed suicide, some fled to the mountain, and they had sex with the girls, have children with them. That's why even in Haiti, just like Jamaica, now you will see there is a place in Haiti, in the west of Haiti, named Kazal. All those people from there are bone-skinned people, just like Topil. Like you see those people from St. Elizabeth, Topil, that all this area, these people are just light-skinned, all of them. So they say these are the people who fled to that mountain, and they built up those people there. So,
but now they're saying that, and there's some slaves who came and escaped and intermingled with the Indian tribe, and so we're saying that there is some. So we're saying that based on the argument provided, it just does not stand to reason. It makes no sense. The argument does not make sense, but and why it doesn't make sense? Okay, so this is where the issue of identity. I say to people, the identity is important. Heritage and cultural heritage is important, because when you preserve your culture and your heritage, it's important because you can make claim against theft. Claims against theft. Yes? In 1948 or 1947, 48, one of those times, 47 or 40, Israel became a nation again.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they able to become a nation again? They became a nation again because they kept and preserved their cultural heritage and their identity. And okay, so it was not important for the Haitians and to have any kind of identity and cultural heritage that they could remember. And so the books and how the books are written is deliberately written to hide any connections and resemblance, any cultural to the natives, the native Taino people, because If that is so, then that means the Caribbean people can place a claim. Haitians and Jamaicans and urban people now can start looking into the evidence to see if they have any connections with the native people from the original people who lived in the Caribbean. Because if that is so, it means then that they can now reclaim and make claims against their former masters, against Europe, or wherever, of the Europeans, or whoever the former masters were. Saying that way, this was my land in the first place, or my ancestors owned this land. This was part of my heritage. So if so, then why is it that we are getting independence? Therefore, well, Haiti took back the independence. They're saying that, well, the Haitians, majority of the Haitians were Africans who came to Haiti. Haitians came to Haiti, okay? They were brought there by the Europeans, and then they fought and got their independence, but they weren't originally from that land, okay?
No, they were not. They were not.
The French,
the independence. They were not originally from the land.
Right, so they stole, in a sense, the argument could be that the Haitians stole Haiti from the French. The Haitians, they stole Haiti from the French.
And they become Haitians. So basically, they were Africans that went there and stole Haiti from the French.
From the French.
Yeah.
And because the French had invaded and defeated the Spanish, okay, because of the war, they invaded it and defeated them and took that land from a war that they had. Okay, so then French, they brought the slaves there. That's according. They brought the slaves there to work the land, and after that happened, by 1804, the slaves overpowered the Europeans and so on, and took control of the land. So the Africans, there is no evidence that Africa was successful at beating anyone at any war. So that, in a sense, it's not just that Haiti was the first former colonized country. Haiti is the first group of Black peoples.
Group of Africans.
Haitians were the first Africans to successfully in the modern world, okay? In the modern world, in this dispensation, since in the period of mercantilism and conquest and so on, and the triangle, the first set up to beat Europeans.
The first, I would agree with you 100%. The first set of Africans that beat the European, oh boy. And
you don't read that anywhere. These are Africans, the first set. And so they beat them and took the land. Now the issue of property, property, and Haiti was seen as a very fertile land with lots of potential. And these Africans who were enslaved, actually they were slaves, but who these French people, these Europeans brought to the land eventually, and they weren't supposed to be able to take it. They were when the Africans came there, they were put in different tribes, and they weren't supposed to be united. They weren't supposed to speak a language where they were able to communicate properly with each other. But the fact that they were able to just quickly come together speaks volume of the kind of people that went to Haiti and the Africans. But the thing is, the point I'm raising here is what were some of so they stole it, but is it really a steal? Because if you are able to, if the Haitians who lived in Haiti have any resemblance or any connections with the original people, it means then that their independence, that it means then that they should not have gotten independence. It means that their revolution was justified because they were part of the original. They can claim, they have claims to the land.
Their land, yeah, they claim their land.
So it is important that we do not have any remember, and that is, it's important for us to understand. So we talk about number 4, the Caribbean theology. We look at identity and cultural reclamation. Caribbean theology encourages the affirmation and reclamation of Caribbean cultural identity. It recognizes the importance of valuing and preserving Caribbean traditions, languages, music, art as integral aspects of Caribbean spirituality. And part of that tradition could go beyond just seeing Caribbean and West Indian as being as African, but also recognizing their Indian heritage, their connections to the original people that existed in Haiti and in the West Indies. And the denial of that heritage is a strategy because it then prevents any claim or just as how Israel can make claim to Palestine. Today, they can go back to Palestine, okay, and make a claim against that. A claim. The African people, the people that live in the West Indies, the West Indian people in the Caribbean, the only cultural heritage they have is one that comes from Africa with some connections, with small connections to Europe, and some people promote their European connections over their African connections. Okay, and we can easily trace that, and there's evidence everywhere that people write that white people, Caucasians and Europeans write about this, their connection with Africa and what happened. But anything that happened between 1492 and 1655, there is nothing about that history. There is hardly anything about that.
There is nothing about it. I have no history. I have not read. I read partially little history about the Taínos. Little.
And therefore you have to ask that. So as an academic, as a scholar, as a critical thinker, as a Caribbean theologian, who also have the task of cultural and identity reclamation, that is because, you see, the thing, when you talk about preserving one's cultural identity, your ability to preserve your culture is also to protect your property, to protect property.
So I don't have issues of those people, but they say probably they were like Indian.
Yes,
they were Indian. We don't have any trace of Haiti. We have people who coolie, like we call them in Jamaica. We have coolie, but we don't know if that's the heritage. But so basically, you would say we would have to go in a quest to find out if we have any connection, heritage from the ancestors.
Well, that is exactly
from the first people of the land.
Yes, that is exactly what the urban Indian heritage, and we have they're coming. I did a presentation with them on my show, the NeoLiberal Round podcast. It's available on YouTube. It's also available. It's available everywhere, all over. I mean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music. It's available on YouTube. If you go to the NeoLiberal, and this is being recorded, and I'll have it, and I'll give it to you. Okay, but I'm telling you this right now, that this is quite important. They're doing a study on genealogy, Haitian genealogy and Jamaican genealogy. But this is important. Okay. The last thing is this: community and communal. Caribbean theology focuses on community and communal ethics. Caribbean theology emphasizes the communal, and this is a part of Caribbean thought. Caribbean theology emphasizes the communal nature of Caribbean society and promotes a sense of community, solidarity, and collective responsibility. It calls for a reorientation towards social and economic practices. Social and economic practices, and might I also add, spiritual, that prioritize the well-being of the entire community. It calls for the reorientation towards social, economic, policy, economic, I'm going to add something, social, spiritual, and economic practices that prioritizes the well-being of the entire community. It's important to note that Caribbean theology is a diverse and evolving field. I'm wrapping up now, with different theologians contributing their unique perspectives. The works of Caribbean theologians, such as Lewin Williams and Garnet Roper, provide specific insights into their understanding of Caribbean theology within the context of Jamaica, finally, and the Caribbean. The course this semester will include my contributions and thinking surrounding this topic, and the issue of power and privilege. This is vital, as Caribbean theology is a complex and multifaceted field of study that explores the intersection of spirituality, culture, and the unique historical perspectives or experiences of the Caribbean region. It seeks to understand and address the issues of power, privilege, and status that have shaped Caribbean society and its theoretical or theological landscape. So I have put together a compendium of several perspectives on power that purpose to examine how the status quo uses strategy to extend, establish, or maintain power, which then poses problems for human progress. This involves looking at the development of power, privilege, position, and status within the foundations of historical literature and divine intervention. Now, I am going to stop there. I think I say more and more, but I will stop there as we look at. I am going to stop here, and then we'll pick up with this next week. Pick up with this discussion next week.
We're not going to have class Thursday.
Sorry, yeah, no, we will have class Thursday. When I come back on Thursday, I'm going to continue with the discussion. We will continue. I have put together a discussion that defines the issues here. So I will continue with the concept. What is Caribbean theology? We must begin by defining the place, people, and problem of Caribbean, and our theology provides hope. Again, what is Caribbean theology? We must begin by defining the place, people, and problems of Caribbean, and our theology provides hope and an ultimate meaning to these. However, as much as we promote self-determination and the nation coming out of colonialism, we will not make the mistake of requiring any general will, thereby lumping Caribbean within a general mill without underscoring peoples, groups, and individuals whose ideas may not be as general as we think. Further, the evolution of our theology understands that this is not free from human interference. And let me say this again. The evolution of our theology understands that this is not free from human interference, as Kant has said. History is a result of the varieties of human nature and circumstance, so that our inheritance of a theology on life includes a scrutiny as we are working out our own salvation. But our experience of becoming what had denied us still provides that kindred spirit and basis for shared lives in transition. Moreover, I will ask the question, what is the ultimate of all things? The ultimate of all things is that we become one with reality in all of our spirituality. That we become one with reality in all of our spirituality. A man said once, "You label me, you negate me." That's a guy, Kierkegaard, by the way. And I need to add him in the text. I did. Oh, wow, I didn't put, let me just put that here. It's K-I-E, Kierkegaard, I-E-R-G-A-A-R-D. We will meet Kierkegaard in this class. Kierkegaard is a powerful theologian and philosopher. Our theology must not commit the crimes that our master had committed. I'm going to say that again. Our theology must not commit the crimes that our former masters had committed. Former masters.
The crime of killing in the name of Christ.
Yes. And not only that, and privileging our perspective, being ethnocentric. Yes. Negating the individual. Yet have we done so? Has colonization so damaged us? Again, a man said once, you label me, you negate me. Kierkegaard. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. Now, our theology must not commit the crimes that our former master had committed. And by that I mean negating the individual and lumping everyone into a general will. Yet, we have done so. Yet, have we done so? Has colonization so damaged us? So probably you could answer that question for the interaction paper. You could come up with a definition for theology. I want you for you guys. I want you guys to come up with a definition of theology. But please consider the question: what is the ultimate of all things? That we become one with reality in our individuality. A man said, once you label me, you negate me. Our theology must not commit the crimes that our former masters had committed. That is, negating the individual. Yet, have we done so? Has colonization so damaged us? So as you formulate a theology that is Caribbean, and I say to you, when we ask what is theology, we must begin by defining the place, the people, and the problems of Caribbean. And our theology provides hope and an ultimate meaning to these. Hope. And notice, our theology provides hope and an ultimate meaning to these. However, as much as we promote self-determination, and the notion of a nation coming out of colonialism, we will not make the same mistake of requiring any general will, thereby lumping Caribbean within a general milieu, without underscoring peoples, groups, and individuals whose ideas may not be as general as we think. Further, the evolution of our theology understands that it is not free from human interference, because, as we said earlier, history is a result of human nature and circumstance, here underscoring Immanuel Kant on history, so that our inheritance of a theology, so if that's what Kant says, therefore, it stands to reason that our inheritance of a theology on life must include a scrutiny as we are working out our own salvation. But our experience of becoming what had denied us, our experience of becoming, because our experience of becoming had denied us. We were denied that experience of the individual. So that I write in very poetic terms. My writing is always, but even the book I wrote this book, by the way, for those of us, if you don't note it, this book, where some of my thoughts and ideas is in this book, okay? And it was viewed as an erudite economic analysis of Jamaica's economic history. So this book, if you can get it, please. It's available. When I come to Jamaica, I bring Kingston Bookshop and Sangsters has created a contract for me to sign, and they want my books out in their bookshelves. So it's going to be there soon. But for now, it's available online all over the world. Anywhere you go, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I have a bookstore online that you can buy it from. It's on eBay. It's everywhere. So get a copy of it. It's an ebook, and it's in the audio book as well, and it's also in paperback and hardcover. And we have a book 2 coming out as book 2 in the series on neoliberalism. But I'm wrapping up. But I just went off tangent. The point I'm making here is that I said that for the evolution of our theology. So the homework for this week is to come up with a theology based on what I'm reading here. The evolution of our theology understands that it is not free from human interference. Okay? So therefore, because history is a result of the varieties of human nature, so that our inheritance of a theology on life includes a scrutiny as we are working out our own salvation. But our experience of becoming what had denied us still provides that kindred spirit and basis for shared lives in transition. In other words, what I'm saying here, what do I mean? Notice, this is deep. But our experience of becoming what had denied us provides that kindred spirit and basis for shared lives in transition. That is deep. What the hell is the professor talking about? You have to go deep within. Okay, moreover, what is the ultimate of all things? In other words, we can learn from each person's walk experience. Okay, we can learn from everybody's walk experience. And I'm writing a book, Secrets to Unlocking Divine Intervention. And I have written several chapters, which I will share with you in this class. Okay, I will share with you guys one of the presentations in class. I will talk about this whole issue because what I'm doing a research, an anthropological research, looking at various people's faith experience. And I was talking with the questions I'm asking you about voodoo. I was pushing you a little bit, okay, because that's what thinkers do. We're academics. We push the bar to its logical end, okay? And what is the ultimate? No, I said, what is the ultimate of all things? That we become one with reality in all of our individuality. Our theology must not commit the crimes that our former masters committed, which is negating the individual. Yet, have we done so? Has colonization so damaged us? Yes, it has. Because it has damaged so much that we think that nothing that comes from us is good. Our dialect is second class. Our color is second class. Okay? Our religion and our faith that we come up with is second class. Okay? All right? Everything is second. We can only do well. We only do well in tourism, because tourism borders around being servants. Yes, and that is the basis of our value. So that is the characteristic of our necessity. So I want you guys to think about coming up with an understanding, with your own definition of Caribbean theology. What is Caribbean theology? How do you define Caribbean theology? Come up with a paragraph. You're like, I came up with this myself. So I did the homework myself. All right, come up with this is like a one pager, half a page actually. Half a page. You can come up with a half a pager or one pager. Come up with what is Caribbean theology? Bearing in mind that it must begin by defining the people, the place, problems, and blah 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 blah. Okay. All right. So that's it for now, and then we will come back next week, and when we come back, I guess we will go through this class. We're not going to follow the outline to the T. Okay. We're not going to follow the outline to the T at all. We won't do that since it's just a few of us. And sometime throughout the week, if you have any comments and ideas, we can talk on a one-on-one basis. By the way, follow your professor, follow me on Twitter, follow my pages, subscribe, okay? Support, and we are building a movement of Caribbean thinkers. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to develop a movement of Caribbean thinkers and theologians, and that comes from Jamaica Theological Seminary. I want to eventually, my 5-year goal is to come up with an academic journal of Caribbean and theological thoughts from young scholars like yourself, who is going to bring about the change. The change will come from you. I'm 44 tomorrow, just so you know. Tomorrow is my birthday, but the change will come from, I am facilitating that change. We are part of the new crop. The people who are before us are failing us. They have failed us. Okay? They have failed us. It will come from you. It will come from me, it will come from you. Okay? It will come from me, it will come from you. They are failing us. And I say to you, I challenge you guys to be the change and to make the change. So what's his name didn't finish the class. What's his name again? There are 2 other students in the class. This lecture will be available in video, so I'll make it available. It was quite profound. How do you pronounce your name?
Williams.
Oh, Williams. Easy.
Yeah.
Williams, this was powerful. I fully enjoyed the conversation I had with you, the discussion we had today.
Oh.
It was one of the best lectures I've had in a very long time. This is what lectures should be. It was profound. I appreciate your mind. I appreciate your position. By the way, I don't believe that education is an empty jug where I am pouring into you and you come with nothing. I'm from a liberal school of thought. Liberal school of thought means then I value the individual. I value you as a person, what you come with. Okay, so this is power. I like that. This is quite powerful. Now, you're going to fully appreciate this class, but it's going to be very radical. It will challenge you. It will move you. I think the class is different. Richard wants me to ensure that you meet certain persons. Trust me, already the discussion that I'm having with you, you already got an A for the course if you continue on this vein. This was quite powerful. Oh, you sent me a friend request. That's good. Wait.
Yeah.
Let me add you right now. Am I sharing my screen? Can you see my screen?
I can see you.
Oh, great. Because I don't want any. Oh, what is this? Oh, wow. This is beautiful. What this is? It is showing. I'm trying to find my Facebook page. All right, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And he sent me a friend request. Let me see if I could find it. Are you Mont Stanley?
Me?
Oh no, you're not. I don't see it. I don't see your. You sent me a friend. It says you sent me a friend request.
Yes, I did just now.
How do I find my? Oh, I have to go to friends or something. I guess I saw it. It popped up on my screen that you sent me a friend request.
When you come off the live, you might see it.
I look for it. Okay, okay. Yeah, follow me on Twitter as well and stuff. And I do a lot. I engage with the public a lot. I do a lot of writing and stuff. This is powerful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
Good night.
We will talk. Yeah, go over the syllabus. Remember the question for Wednesday. So come up, formulate with a definition. Formulate or come up with a definition of theology. You do not have to source. Okay. You don't have to source right now. You just come up with it. You come up with it. You're a Caribbean thinker. Okay. I want to see what is your Caribbean theology. All right. Okay. What good? And you have my emails and everything, right? And you have the syllabus. You have the syllabus.
Supposed to. I don't know. Maybe on the online.
Chantel, please send Williams the syllabus. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Send him a copy of the syllabus.
Thank you, Chantal.
Yeah, man, and I'll send you a copy of the present of this. Thank you for sharing. Share it with your friends. Share the petition with your friends. Share it with your people. Okay.
All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.